Today's show is brought to you by sunsetlakecbd.com. They are the only CBD that any of us around here have actually enjoyed in any respect. They started out as a farm up in Vermont, outside of I think it's outside of Burlington. They were providing dairy for Ben and Jerry's. They decided to diversify. They started to grow hemp, 100%, 100% organic fertilizer, 100% pesticide free. You can go onto their website. You can check out all of their third-party analysis of all their CBD. They work with the University of Vermont on regenerative agricultural practices. They got great business practices, $15 minimum wage. The company is majority employee owned. And but better than all that, their CBD is great. They got great tinctures. I use them for sleeping. They got gummy bears that also help you relax. There is salve with arnica and CBD that I've given to friends for sore backs. And we've gotten emails about arthritis, and I've used it myself on my eczema, and it worked great. And I think I have authorization to say, I mentioned the other day that I gave some pre-rolls. I mean, Matt is the expert on the smokables, but I tried some of the pre-rolls, and it really is an interesting sort of relaxation. And I had mentioned the other day that my buddy cannot smoke marijuana without getting too paranoid. And I have permission to say who it was. It was John Benjamin. And I think he's been public about his inability to smoke pot. But I told him, you got to try the CBD pre-roll, because you get sort of like the body high, I guess. It's sort of like the general feeling of relaxation without the paranoia. And he loved it. So now he's gonna raid all my pre-rolls. But check it out. They're fans of the show, and so they wanted their coupon code to be Left is Best. Left is Best. It gets you 20% off your CBD. Go to sunsetlakecbd.com. Great company, great CBD, and it has been a godsend for me during this very, very sort of anxious time. All right, let's get to the show.
That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Cedar.
It is Friday, October 9th, 2020. My name is Sam Cedar. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Dawnfall. Wheezing Trump lashes out at his acolytes. Meanwhile, the FBI busts a right-wing terror cell planning to kidnap the governor of Michigan. 4 White House staffers, people who work in the White House, not as political appointees, but simply in keeping that place running, are now confirmed infected, as the White House finally allows tracing of their super spreader event. Meanwhile, Bill Barr's investigation of the investigators fails in its primary directive, helping Donald Trump's re-elect narrative. COVID infections are surging now in Wisconsin and the Dakotas, and a flurry of federal court rulings hinder and help voting rights across the states. New Pew research shows that Fox and right-wing radio are horrible for your health, and frankly, everyone else's too. More disclosure failures from Amy Coney Barrett as calls for Democratic court packing grow. And they knew. More revelations from the DOJ Inspector General report show that their test run, the pilot program, showed that stolen immigrant children would not be able to reunite with their parents. Lastly, the Supreme Court punts on restricting Plan B abortion pills. But that's just for now. All this and more on today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. If you are new to the program, which is possible, we have a whole new host of new viewers of the program. You will note that on Casual Fridays, I always do my best to wear a soft collar shirt. And part of the tradition around here, of course, it is really this Friday and probably for several Fridays to come, maybe even more than that. Things probably not going to be so casual. We are now just weeks out from the final opportunity you will have for an election. If you're in New York State, today is the last day you can register to vote. In other places, that registration has closed, some on which with certain amount of controversy. In Florida, they had a meltdown in their computerized system to provide registration, and a federal court said we cannot expand it. We have a series of similar things in Wisconsin now, and this case may end up going to the Supreme Court. The extension that was granted for counting Wisconsin ballots has now been blocked by by the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. And of course, this is as we're seeing a huge surge in COVID cases out there, obviously making it harder for people to vote or diminishing their desire to vote in person for a good reason. In Ohio, a federal judge blocked an order from Ohio's Secretary of State that would have limited the amount of drop boxes across the state. So federal court giveth and federal court taketh away, depending on which state you're in. But of course, this has been ongoing, particularly in the swing states, Florida, Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. These are cases, these are states where the election, if it is going to be close, is going to be close. Now, there's mounting evidence that Joe Biden is at least situated in such a way that he could have a massive victory. But I wouldn't count on that. I don't think there's anything that we can count on at this point, but it's quite clear. I saw Mitch McConnell yesterday, a clip of Mitch McConnell starting to give the White House grief on their COVID protocols. Now, he claims that he stopped going there in August because he was nervous about their protocols. And that's 60 days ago. And he's just saying this now. I think what we're starting to see is a panic and that stage of the sinking ship where people start to realize, maybe I don't need to save the women and children. I'm going to, and I say this in regards to the Republicans in the Senate because the vast majority of them are men. There is an increasing feeling that that Donald Trump is being abandoned. Bill Barr announced, or is now reportedly telling Republicans that the Durham investigation, this is the one where they're investigating the investigators, will not have any type of report or conclusion before the November election. Now, this has been obviously a source of controversy. Durham is a U.S. attorney from Connecticut. His lieutenant, essentially, I don't think that was literally her title, but his right-hand woman who has been working with him for decades quit a couple of weeks ago. And reportedly, this was because she felt that there was undue pressure coming from the Department of Justice to release a report on an ongoing investigation, which you simply don't do. And you definitely don't do it if it has any bearing on an election before an election. And it appears that Durham has communicated that to Bill Barr, that I'm not going to participate that. And Barr has given up the ghost there. But there is an increasing, and we're hearing reporting that there is a little bit of strife in the White House between Don Jr. and Javanka. And of course, Donald Trump, who just a day ago, when he was presumably still receiving some form of steroid treatment, was out there trying to convince the American public that he's great, no problem. This COVID thing, gone in a couple of days, and you're all going to get this kind of care. Well, he called into Sean Hannity's program last night, and there's a couple of things to note here. One is that he's huffing and puffing. Two is that he refuses to answer from Sean Hannity the question, have you tested negative yet? And he claims he's going out on Saturday for a campaign rally, and the White House has since, as of this morning, said, we're going to wait till Monday. And so there's an increasing sense that Donald Trump isn't physically capable of going out and doing that. Now, supposedly he's doing an on-camera interview tonight with Tucker Carlson. We'll see if that happens. Hard to believe, but it could happen. But let's tune into him on Sean Hannity. Here he is dodging the question. And it's impossible to imagine that if Donald Trump had a negative COVID test, that they would not be blaring this everywhere. But here he is just simply dodging the question.
Tested since your campaign and your doctor, Sean Connolly, put out that you'll be medically safe and cleared for safe return to public engagements by Saturday, five full days. Have you been tested recently?
Maybe. Yeah, I just saw the doctors today. They think I'm in great shape. I'm in great shape.
Did you test negative?
Good shape in that. And I'll tell you, I took this Regeneron. It's phenomenal. And Eli Lilly has something very comparable. It's phenomenal. And it's a whole new day. It's a whole, and if you go back a few months, nobody ever even thought about this stuff. We came up with it. And I'm going to have it delivered to every hospital where you have sick people with the COVID or the China virus, as we call it. And we're going to make people better. It actually made me better. I went in. I could have left a day later. I'm telling you, Sean, it was incredible. So that's Regeneron. But again,
I could have left a day later. I mean, he's just misspoke there, I guess, presumably. I guess he wanted to say, I could have left a day earlier. Now, it doesn't sound very good to me. And I've been professionally, sadly, having to listen to his voice now for 4 or 5 years. And he does not sound, he sounds even raspier than he did 2 or 3 days ago. He sounds exhausted. He sounds like me. But he doesn't, as far as I know, have a 7-year-old who gets up in the middle of the night, wakes him up at 4 a.m, and then starts to kick him. Here he is later in the thing. And there's multiple instances during this phone interview where Trump is like hacking and coughing. Here is one where it sounds like for a moment that he passes out. Now, of course, he doesn't, but he's trying to sort of, I guess, muster up the strength to get his voice to transmit over the phone. Listen to this.
Well, I didn't even want to use them. You know, last time I had a big problem. They oscillated my mics when I had the one debate. We had 3 debates with Hillary, and on I think the first debate, excuse me, on the first debate, they oscillated the mic, and they oscillated it very, very seriously, and they actually apologized to me.
In 2016.
And I said, what's this all about? They were Clinton people.
Yeah.
And I said, we ought to just do the debates ourselves, John. We ought to just do it ourselves. And I picked, I'm the president, so if we want to have debates, I'd rather just do it ourselves. Pick some good anchor.
What, he's going to have a debate against himself because of the oscillation of the mic? He was terrified of doing a remote debate because, of course, he couldn't get up to his only debate technique, which is just to interrupt. Because on a remote debate, they can just mute your mic. We could do that in Zoom right now. Matt, back in HQ, which of course is there is no HQ anymore when we do this. He could mute my mic right now. So Donald Trump struggles and calls into Sean Hannity's program. We will have more on all of that as the show continues. And in just a moment, we will have Heather Parton from Salon, or you may know her as Digby from the blog Hullabaloo. She's going to join me to take a look back on this week and try and put some sense to it. In the meantime, should tell you that this episode is brought to you by Magic Spoon, and which is fortunate because I ordered some more this morning. You'll remember that when you were a kid, breakfast cereal was one of the funnest parts of the morning. Your milk turns whatever color the cereal is, and then you drink it all, and it's sweet, and it's sugary, and then you get older, and you realize, oh my God, the reason why it's sweet and sugary is because there's a ton of sugar in it, and there's a ton of junk in it. Luckily, there's a way to relive that magic of your morning breakfast cereal from as a kid with Magic Spoon. It's a new cereal company. It's discovered a way to recreate your favorite childhood cereals with, you ready for this? 0 sugar. No sugar. 11 grams of protein and only 3 net grams of carbs in each serving. Magic Spoon offers 4 flavors based on the all-time classics. Cocoa, that's my favorite. Fruity, that's Saul's favorite. Frosted, that's my daughter Mila's favorite. And blueberry, which we will indulge in, but for the most part, it's those 3. And you can get a variety pack that lets you try them all. They taste amazing. And my son gets he's sensitive. Well, because we're always constantly saying, look at that label. Look how much sugar's in this. And every time we have it, he's like, there's no sugar in it. I think what was it? Was it some type of, wasn't jackfruit. There's not, it really is amazing. The cereal tastes great. And for me, like I say, cocoa, I'll have it in for breakfast. And when my son wakes me up in the middle of the night, I go in, I'll have it for a midnight snack. And it's after midnight. You can go to magicspoon.com/Majority Report. You grab a variety pack. You try it today. Be sure to use our promo code Majority Report at checkout. Get free shipping. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Check out the other flavors. I'm not supposed to talk about those on the website, but they're also really good. That's magicspoon.com/Majority Report and use the code Majority Report for free shipping. I appreciate Magic Spoon sponsoring the podcast, and frankly, I appreciate their cereal even more. It is, it's nice to be able to give your kids food that they like and have it be not full of junk. This is actually a pretty funny story too. I'm not sure if my mom's listening today, but during COVID, my sisters and I were concerned that my mom was not going to be eating, well and properly during this situation. My sisters did some research. We tried out a couple of services that ship food to you. And we settled on one called Freshly. But we told my mom that they were advertising on the show because she wouldn't let us pay for it. So I told my mom that they were advertising on the show and they were just sending me free food. And so she's been loving it. And she's been for months telling all her friends to order Freshly because it's delicious and they're advertisers of the show. Well, fortunately, it turns out they are now advertising on the show. Freshly understands that food needs to be delicious, healthy, and simple. And here's the thing. I will cop to the fact that during COVID, because we can't have the same type of babysitting and I can't get home in the same amount of time, I'm doing a lot of ordering of food, and Freshly is a great way to do it and do it in a reasonable way. I'm not cooking as much these days. And with Freshly, you can avoid the grocery store. You can enjoy fully prepared dinners delivered fresh, not frozen, right to your door. I get home, I've got a beautiful meal. And I've got a beautiful meal for my children as well in this instance. And my mom is loving it. For my mom, her favorite, the peppercorn steak. My sister is eating with her. She's very picky about food. She says it's delicious. Her favorite is the arroz con pollo. For me, I'm completely down with the chicken tikka masala that they have. They got a whole range of stuff. There's also like a coconut bowl. I don't have what that is, but in front of me of chicken, but it's amazing. They have golden oven fried chicken. They have creamy springtime risotto, fall apart tender beef brisket. And that's just a few of the 30 plus health conscious options to choose from. You can go and you can see all the nutritional numbers on their site for each meal. You can order like 6 or 9 or 10 meals or 12 meals over the course of a week. And very, very reasonable. Join almost 1.5 million satisfied customers and skip the shopping, prepping, cooking, and cleanup. Freshly is offering for our listeners $40 off for their first 2 orders at freshly.com/majority. That's freshly.com/majority. And lastly, now more than ever, you shouldn't put off seeing a doctor when you're not feeling well. Everything that's going on, very difficult, but you got to put your health first. Thankfully, there's PlushCare. PlushCare provides virtual doctor appointments through your smartphone or computer. They make it easy to book an appointment online, see a doctor right from home. No more sitting on hold, cramming into a crowded waiting room. PlushCare, you can be diagnosed, treated, and even have a prescription sent to your pharmacy of choice within minutes. PlushCare accepts most major insurance carriers and is available in all 50 states. The doctors are available anytime you have questions. If you need a regular checkup or you have questions about mental health, PlushCare doctors are available to help as well. You can schedule an appointment today, discuss your treatment options. With PlushCare, you don't have to put off seeing a doctor, and you shouldn't, frankly, put off seeing your doctor. No more excuses. Make your appointment today. Go to plushcare.com/majority. That's PlushCare, PlushCare, plushcare.com/majority, plushcare.com/majority. All right. Let's welcome to the program one of our, I guess, semi-regulars on a Friday. She is the proprietor of the Uber blog, Hullabaloo, and writer for Salon.com, Heather Parton, or you may know her as Digby. Heather, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Sam. Sorry, just getting myself unmuted and ready to go here, doing the usual Zoom thing. Can you see me? What's going on?
You're there. It's we can hear you. We can see you. So this has been a pretty crazy week as far as these goes. I mean, it's been, I guess, only about 10 days since the Trump taxes came out. It's only been 6 or 7 days. I guess it was a week ago, almost last night, that it was revealed that Trump had tested positive for COVID. In the meantime, there really is, I don't know, I saw one of those downfall videos, the one where they had that movie Downfall where Hitler's in the bunker and they had
Right.
reoriented what he was saying. And it's starting to have that kind of feeling. And I have two, I guess, responses to it. One is good, and the other is that's a little bit scary too.
It's both. And, I agree with you. I mean, look, on a good day, Donald Trump is irrational, erratic, ignorant, every kind of, a negative adjective you can apply. But this does have a different feel to it. There's a desperation here. And some of this may be the illness, the steroids talking, but it's also the fact that it's pretty clear that, he is now down, the average is 10 points in all the polling averages nationally, and in the swing states, in some places where he shouldn't be having a problem at all, like Ohio or Iowa, it's very, very close. So there's a sense of desperation coming in there. And you add on to the fact that his entire campaign now is stricken with COVID, pretty much. He lost Brad Parscale, through embezzlement and drunkenness and whatever else is going on with that guy. And then the replacement, Bill Stepien, he's got COVID, and I don't think he's going into the office. And who knows how many other people. And the entire White House is in disarray. It's a dangerous moment. It's one of those things where, as much as I I don't mean to have too much schadenfreude here, but nonetheless, I can't help it. Donald Trump, nobody deserves to be in this predicament more than him. But he still is the president of the United States. And, the Joint Chiefs of quarantining at home. There's a lot of circumstances here that could be very, lead to some very unpleasant sort of consequences. And that's not even talking about what's going on with the stuff like this Michigan militia up in Michigan with, attempting to kidnap the governor. This is some weird stuff. And you worked in Hollywood for years. This really is, it's a cliche now, but it's true. It's the kind of story that people would say, okay, dial it back a little bit. There's a little bit much here. Maybe kind of, get rid of the militia thing, or, did he really need to be on steroids? That's the kind of thing in the script that you'd say was a little bit unbelievable. So, I'm a little bit nervous about it. And I've been nervous about the election returns and the way they're going to deal with the election itself for a long time, because it's not just Trump. He's got lawyers fanned out all over the country. And he's, now he's activated the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys and God knows what else. They're the Oath Keepers and all these right-wing groups. We're in a very delicate moment. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, earlier this week, the Justice Department put out some type of memorandum, essentially changing slightly their long-standing policy that I think has been in place since 1980, if I'm not mistaken, that you do not do anything in a public manner involving any type of prosecutions around the actual functioning of an election, or any prosecutions that could in any way implicate an election, right? If somebody's running for office, or somebody's an associate of somebody running for office, you just simply don't do it. That was part of the reason why people were so taken aback by James Comey reading that letter and making that letter public, I guess a year ago, I don't know, a day or two ago. And but they changed that, and you got to wonder, why? Why was that? Why 30 days out from the election have they changed that policy that has been longstanding for since 1980? However, the fact that it feels like, and I doubt that I don't know how to read this. Right, this announcement that Bill Barr, or the reporting that Bill Barr is telling Republicans, do not count on anything coming out from the Durham report, because that was plan, I don't know, maybe A or B for Bill Barr, was the Durham report was going to come out in October, was going to come out right about now, or in a week or two. I don't think it would have had the salience that they seem to think it would. That the Durham report would say that Barack Obama and Joe Biden were, had listening devices and were tracking the Trump campaign or whatever it was. But apparently there's been enough pushback by Durham and his crew so that Barr has given up on that and is telling everybody don't count on it. I can't imagine that's going to change. I don't know how to read that, as if Bill Barr is basically saying, I give up, or if Bill Barr is just basically saying, we'll go to plan C.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, Bill Barr certainly is involving himself in the election. I mean, that much we know. They're talking about, I mean, they're putting out these weird, like the 9 ballots that were found in the trash in Pennsylvania. They had the U.S. attorney put out an actual press release saying that, we found 9 ballots in a trash can in Pennsylvania. Where the feds are looking into it. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you don't do, right? I mean, that's just, first of all, it's not really a federal issue. It's a state and local issue. That's what elections are in this country, rightly or wrongly, but that's how it is. So he's involving himself. It's just that this Durham report, and I don't know what to think about it either, Sam, because I agree with you. I think it's probably Durham's doing. I mean, I never had any great faith in Durham. I mean, he kind of was the guy who covered up the torture report, or basically, decided that there was nothing there. So, and we know that there was plenty there. And they, he's not someone that I've ever felt was really Mr. Super straight arrow, and I've been down that road before anyway. We thought, Comey, Mueller, I mean, how many of these people, these Department of Justice people that we're supposed to believe are, about truth, justice, and the American way, turn out to just, for some reason or another, end up covering up crimes by Republicans. But in any case, I think there's a good chance that that's exactly what happened, that his crew just basically, he and his crew, because we know one of his top assistants and a very close associate apparently for many years, quit.
Right.
So, it may very well be that he just went, hey, look, we're all going to walk off if you do this, Bill. Love to help you out, but we're not there for this. That may be true. And maybe Barr has no choice in that, because that would, of course, discredit the entire thing if there was a big, walkout by the entire Durham investigation. But, it's interesting because Trump now, and granted, he's, loony, as more loony than ever, is going all over TV, talking about, now he's putting down even Pompeo. He went on Fox News yesterday and complained that Pompeo hadn't found Hillary Clinton's 33,000 emails. And, I'm not happy with that, he says. So he's putting tremendous pressure, obviously, on Barr and Pompeo and the rest of its henchmen. And it's working with Ratcliffe at the office of, the director of national intelligence, who is just, this guy couldn't be a worse toady. He's completely unqualified for the job. They threw him in there, kind of thinking maybe we can just through the end of the year, but he's declassified, Trump is saying, I'm declassified everything. It's just blanket declassification of everything to do with the Russian investigation and Hillary Clinton's emails and everything. And Ratcliffe is sort of throwing out little pieces of information that everyone is saying is completely without context. And, it's very, he's cherry picking whatever he thinks will help. And none of that's helping Trump. This is stuff, it's just going to the Fox News audience that understands the minutia of this weird conspiracy theory that they have going. So, I don't know Barr ends up in that, but let's remember, Sam, he didn't invent this either, of getting involved in elections, because that happened in the Bush administration, and Alberto Gonzales lost his job over it. So maybe Barr is sort of thinking, well, maybe I ought to, his place in history is being challenged here by this, and maybe he's having some thought. I don't know, but it is a little bit strange. I was surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that, and I can't tell if it is. Yes, Ratcliffe seems to be one of the last sort of like people who are staying in Trump's good graces. And we should say Ratcliffe, like he was auditioning, I think it was during the impeachment hearings. I think it was that he was sort of auditioning for this job with Trump, and people were like, there's no way that he would appoint Ratcliffe there. Ratcliffe has no expertise, and he's of course that happened. So we got Trump. He's freaking out now, right? He's going on Fox and he's saying that Kamala Harris is a communist, calling her a monster. let me ask you this. So I was watching Chris Hayes' program last night, and Carvel came on, and I had sort of this thought, but I just thought, But Carvel was like, Carvel said something to the effect that really sort of resonated with me. It's like, it doesn't feel like Donald Trump's trying to win this election. And when he announced the other day that he was ending the stimulus talk, he was cutting them off. I found that to be extraordinary. I mean, that, I can see him thinking that that's a smart thing to do and whatnot. And again, he's being treated. We don't know exactly with what, but I've had people tell me that they've been on those type of steroids, and it has had a very, very serious impact on their judgment and their ability to articulate things. And Trump's tweeting this stuff in the middle of the night. So maybe he just, he didn't know what he was doing. But if he's out there doing that, like, you would think there'd be someone around him, but like you mentioned, Stepien is in quarantine. Maybe there's other people who are just afraid to get near him because he's probably still infected. We just don't know. But I don't understand how you could do that if you were, I guess, either one of two things: trying to win this election, or of even some type of right mind. And that, I mean, there doesn't seem to be anything left for him at this point. And to announce, to basically give the Democrats exactly what they wanted was a statement that the reason why you're not getting any more COVID economic assistance is because Donald Trump has decided you're not going to. Like, I don't know what else you could want at that point.
Well, I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi did a little jig when she saw that, because it was absolutely the best thing she could have hoped for. I wrote about this for Salon this morning, actually, and it seems like he's, sabotaging himself. And I looked at it, and I just think he doesn't know how to do anything else. I think that his idea of dominance, this idea that you got to be strong, you got to be dominant, you got to, whatever. The fact that he got the virus, I think, threw him and made him feel very vulnerable and weak. And the only instinct he has then is to, sort of put out this, I'm fine, I'm dominant, let's go, I'm feeling well. And it's just not working, because it's not true. I mean, he is not feeling well. I don't think there's any doubt that, he is. Look, he's a 74-year-old guy with COVID. And I don't care if you have a mild case of COVID. At 74, that's gonna kick your ass a little bit. It's a tough disease. And they gave him a full cocktail of everything that could make you feel better in the moment, but he's sick. And I don't think he knows what to do. I mean, he did a video that said this was a blessing from God, me getting COVID. And the idea is that it made it so that I could take this cocktail of drugs and realize what the cure for, and I did, and now look at me, I'm back and whatever. Well, it was almost like I'm Jesus. I got COVID for your sins. I mean, this is what he was saying. It was absurd. But it was a blessing that he got it for a normal politician, because it offered him a way to completely change the trajectory of this last month of the election, in which he could have, if he had any political skills at all, come out and say, look, this is terrible. I'm going through this. I understand all the pain that everybody else has gone through. Show empathy, show his own vulnerability as a person. Now, I'm not saying it would work, but it was a path that was offered to him to get off of this, trajectory that he's on to lose. This has been a long-term problem for him, that Biden has been, in all the polling averages, but averaging, 7-8 points, and now it's gotten worse. He couldn't do that. He literally didn't have the capacity. I don't think he had the imagination, the ability, or the political skills to be able to take that moment that was offered to him and turn it into something that maybe possibly could have changed the trajectory of the race for him. So it does feel like he's just decided to double down on all the things that people hated about him from the beginning, which is this BS, bullshitting kind of attitude that he has, where he's downplaying the virus and all that kind of stuff. This is the way that he this is the way that he's dealt with this from the very beginning, and he's getting worse. So I don't know if he wants to win anymore. I think he does, but I don't think he has a clue about how to do it. I think that's really the problem. All he knows how to do is strut around. I mean, that Mussolini-esque thing that he did when he got off the helicopter and walked up
to the top of
the portico of the White House and stood there and ripped his mask off and saluted and all of that. I mean, come on, that was it was like I was laughing. I don't know if other people were, but I found it, amazingly hilarious that he would try to do that.
It's an interesting point that you raised, because it hadn't even really occurred to me. When it was first reported that he was infected, there was there was at least some people sort of expressing a concern that, Boris Johnson, his polling went up like significantly in the 2 weeks that following the report that he was infected. And I think it ultimately dropped down to where it was. But, 2 weeks, that puts you right around the election. That's sort of where you want to peak. Yeah. And Trump failed to, sort of take advantage of that notion of like, I don't, like you say, who knows if it would have worked? My guess is probably not. I mean, it's sort of hard to believe that guy's having a revelation at this point, but he could have come out and shown some measure of humility and said, this deepens my commitment to, helping the American public. And I understand now, firsthand the pain that people have gone through. And it has, I'm going to redouble my efforts. And which is, he's sort of saying in his way, I guess, but it's more like, it is really more about people understanding, he's trying to sell them not on his on his newfound empathy, but rather he's proved his premise all along that we didn't have to worry about this, and he's not capable. Right. He's not capable of pulling it off, because it's not proving that. It's actually proving that, hey, I have talked to I know a decent number of people who have had COVID and recovered. I have some, fortunately, no one very close to me, but I do know of people who have passed away from it. And the people who have survived it, more often than not, are like, you don't want to get this because it's like someone's kicking you in the chest, or everybody has a slightly different version of it, or 6 months later, they still don't have the sense of smell, or something to that effect. And so Trump last night was telling Sean Hannity, we'll be back on the campaign trail on Saturday. And they just announced this morning that they're pushing to Monday. And I would not be terribly surprised if we saw on, Saturday probably, or Friday night, one of those, like, we're going to be pushing this to Wednesday of next week. And who knows where it goes from there. But this is, it's going to, I guess the real question is now, like, what happens with the Republicans in the Senate? We played a clip the other day from Martha McSally when the moderator was asking her, do you feel proud of your support for Donald Trump? And if she felt that she had the ability, this is where if you're one of those candidates, you do want to do a remote debate, because then you're just like, oh gosh, my camera, what's going on? Oh, I can't hear you. What? You can pull one of those things.
I can't hear you.
Honestly, it was a moment where I thought she was just going to look at the moderator and go, I'll tell you what, and then literally just run off the stage. Get the sense, you get the sense that is happening in many races across the country. Now, there is like the one blip is in North Carolina right now where you have a Democratic candidate, Cal Cunningham, I think it is, who is up by, I think, about 6 points on Tom Tillis. And it now has a scandal where he was engaged in an affair with a consultant or something to that effect. I mean, in my mind, it's, consenting adults, that's an issue for him and his family and whatnot. But, your mileage may vary in North Carolina. But aside from that, and that, of course, has nothing to do with, what party they're in and what's the governance and whatnot. And there is a real feeling like, because there's a half a dozen races out there that are like neck and neck. And it's one of those situations where if like everything breaks in one direction, the Republicans could lose in a big, big fashion in the Senate.
Well, you certainly get the feeling that Mitch McConnell is aware of that. I mean, he's starting to, he let McSally go, right? I mean, obviously he's told his people, you do what you need to do here. Go out there, if you gotta, get rid of Trump, if you've got to, try and separate yourself from anything that we've done, you go. Yeah, exactly. You do what you need to do to win. And I just get the feeling McConnell knows that this is not, this isn't going to work for him. Now, whether or not, I don't want to count on anything because like you say, a lot of the races are very close. By the way, Republicans do cheat. So, we don't know exactly how that's going to turn out. But I do think that there is a possibility. These things tend to go, they tend to break the same way. Let's just put it that way. And Trump being down 10 points on average nationally and being down quite substantially in the swing states that he needs, that does indicate that things are breaking in a certain direction. And, we'll see what happens. But, this is going to be, it's hugely important. I mean, I think everybody probably watching your show understands this, how important the Senate is. Nothing happens if the Republicans retain the Senate. If Mitch McConnell remains in charge of our government, which is essentially what he is, then we have a big problem, whether Joe Biden's in the White House or not, because they are a totally destructive, nihilistic, destructive force. So getting the Senate is very, very important. And, there's plenty of money. I mean, that's one thing that's good. The amount of money that the Democrats have been able to raise is kind of unbelievable. And most of it is coming from small donors, which is an indication of the, sort of, I don't know if it's enthusiasm or desperation, but it doesn't really matter because people are giving even in a time. I mean, this is, an economically very strained time. So that does say something. But hopefully, they are doing it. Now, I was very curious. I'd be curious to hear what you think. This business with the stimulus, as you mentioned, where Trump came out and said, I'm cutting it off. We're not going to have any more talks about the stimulus until after I win the election, right. Which was essentially blackmailing the people. If I don't win, you get nothing, I guess, until February at best, right? Until a new administration came in. Well, there was in one of the articles, and I think it was in the New York Times, it was reported that Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy had been together, had talked between themselves, and had told Trump, in the sickly, steroided out Trump, that they couldn't pass the Mnuchin-Pelosi agreement that was coming together at the time, or they thought might come together in the Senate. They couldn't pass it. So, Trump, of course, says, yeah, all right, well, I'm taking charge of this. And he thought, he'd be the guy to, step in and put a stop to the whole thing. And that's sort of his MO. In The Art of the Deal, or one of the books that he wrote, he says that his idea of a negotiation is to walk in a room with people, look in the guy's face, say, F you, turn around and walk back out. That's how you do a negotiation. So, this is his idea of how you do this kind of thing. But
And then what you do is you have your
McConnell
dad
telling him that
step in
absolute
and be the
nonsense.
guarantor of the
Yeah,
deal.
exactly.
That's the other part of the thing that's left.
Exactly, whatever. Exactly. Well, McConnell telling Trump this in that moment was complete nonsense. And even Trump in his, I don't know if he would have gotten this in his right mind, but he certainly didn't get it at the time. All he would have had to do was get 13 Republicans, because all the Democrats would vote for it. If whatever the deal Pelosi and Mnuchin worked out, the Democrats in the Senate would have voted for it. So it would have been a Democratic bill, basically. And Mnuchin and McConnell could have let 13 of his, even some of the people that, the McSallys, the Gardners, some
Collins,
of these people who are in trouble,
right.
Joni Ernst, let them vote for it. Yeah, Collins. I mean, they would have gladly, please let me vote for something positive here. I'm dying. And he didn't do that. I mean, if that's the case, McConnell,
Yep.
I don't know what that's about, because it sounds like McConnell, all he cares about is Amy Coney, Barrett, and he's manipulating things in a really bizarre way. And I'm just curious what you think about it, because I'm a little
that is a great point.
stymied by that.
That is a great point. That is an absolutely great point, because when McConnell says we can't pass it in the Senate, he's lying. What he's saying is that, well, I mean, I think it's an indication that he says he's thinking like, this is going to help Trump, and I'm not in the help Trump business right anymore, because I think the return on investment there is low. I want, because there was a moment about 2 or 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think it was. This is prior to Trump getting COVID. Maybe it was only a week and a half ago now, where it sounded like McConnell was going to push this back into the lame duck. He was waffling just a little bit. Yeah. And I think there was some waffling that was going on with maybe his senators. And I think now he realizes this ship is going down. And I think he realizes that he has got one shot at doing one more huge, and it is a massive, massive element of Mitch McConnell's legacy. If he puts Amy Coney Barrett on that Supreme Court, Mitch McConnell will go down in the history books. He will be. In many respects, I think the history of this era for historians 20, 30 years, 40 years down the road is going to be, this was the Mitch McConnell administration, and Donald Trump was just the path. And Mitch McConnell's project was 225 members of the federal judiciary, including 3 seats on the Supreme Court, one of which with a two vote swing, right? One of these should have been Merrick Garland's. And so even in the best case scenario, it would still be 5-4 as opposed to 6-3 coming out of this. And I think it's arguable. I've said this, it's the least, I think, reported story out there that Mitch McConnell's holding that seat open was probably the primary reason why Donald Trump won in 2016. We know that 1/4 of all voters, the Republicans, voted for because of that, because of the Supreme Court. And to have an open seat there, I think that's wildly underestimated. And I think Mitch McConnell has basically made his, because here's the thing. If I'm Donald Trump, I say to Mitch McConnell, like that vote, that's coming up there, or I'm going to go publicly against you. And I don't care if it doesn't get a majority of Republican votes. In fact, that helps me. The voters I need to convince are the ones who are out there saying he can't work with anybody, he's too polarized. But if I go up there and I have a Senate bill passed with a majority of Democrats that puts money into people's pockets, that's my best chance of winning this election. If I have any chance at all, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Without it's not mutually exclusive from we can discount the ballots and all the shenanigans can happen too. But if I want to go out there and I want to put my best electoral foot forward, that's what I would do. And Mitch McConnell was just like, I have a feeling that Mitch McConnell gets off that phone and he and Kevin McCarthy are going like, can you believe this? The guy's actually buying this.
Of course. And
of course. And then,
I mean, you're right, and that's what they care about.
Yep. I mean, I think that's basically the end of it. I mean, now with that said, I just got Jake Sherman from Politico is saying that the administration, and I think Mnuchin is now sort of like pushing back a little bit and saying, hey, wait a second, he may not have your best interest in mind. And of course, Mnuchin is also out there. You're seeing all this stuff come out of Wall Street, like where Goldman Sachs are, giving out their investor reports and saying like, it's better if the Democrats take everything over because that's the only way we're going to get any actually real stimulus for the economy. Now, I don't think that they're, I think you could have a jaded perspective on this and say Goldman Sachs is out there saying like, they're going to be, treat Wall Street nicer than Steve Mnuchin, but I don't think that's the case. I think they may have reason to believe that they're not going to get treated significantly worse. But they're also concerned about, how the economy does writ large because that affects all their investments. So here's Mnuchin, I think. The administration's aiming for $300 billion in state and local funding. That's not nearly enough, but it's surprising that they're starting to do that. This is the whole, like, we don't want to give blue state bailout. It's too low for Democrats, but in the right direction. GOP will have to come up here. Also, there's unspent money that could be counted. They want to try and replace the earned income tax credit with a boost in stimulus payments. Not clear on the details, but that shows the GOP is looking to close up an unresolved element of the negotiations. Now that's strange. I'm not sure how to interpret that they want to get rid of the earned income tax credit with stimulus payments. I mean, down the road, I don't know if
they have. I had not heard there.
Sorry,
I had not heard there were stimulus payments in the deal that Pelosi. I had not heard there were stimulus payments in the deal that Pelosi and Mnuchin were putting together. Trump's thrown this in there. The $1,200.
Exactly. Trump wants to write a check and have his name on it, and which is not a stupid thing for Trump to do. But this is going to be interesting because if they come up from $300 billion. If you start getting into like the 500 billion range, and and Pelosi can even if this takes another week or two to go through, the American public's not necessarily going to feel it. It's unclear who's going to get the credit here. I don't think it's going to break in one way or another. But if Pelosi can get this money, kudos to her, because otherwise we're going to be waiting a long time, I think, for any type of economic stimulus.
Oh, yeah.
If she can do this, it's going to jam up McConnell, and it's going to make maybe the whole Amy Coney Barrett thing more difficult. So this could get very, very, very interesting. But Digby, Heather Parton, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us on this not so casual Friday. I do my best, but thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me, Sam.
All right. Well, thank you.
Always.
So folks can go to Hullabaloo, Heather's or Digby's blog, and check her out at salon.com. We'll be back in just a quick second or two with a couple more minutes of this first hour of the show. All right, and so I think people are familiar with the big story that's coming out of Michigan. Now, I have to say, when I hear a story about the FBI arresting people who are plotting some type of plot to attack the government or something, I will tell you right now, my initial response is skepticism. I remember during the Bush years, there was many occasions where the FBI would be. We busted a cell of Muslim radicals who were plotting to overthrow the country, and then you find out that they have a series of informants or this and that who had gotten together, sort of like an ad hoc group of guys who are, trying to source where they can get boots and uniforms with for the four of them to go and take over the federal government or something. So when I first heard this story of the FBI arrests involving members of this, well, it turns out, existing militia, I was a little skeptical, but and I don't know how close these guys got to really actually doing anything, but there's an existing militia group here. They call themselves a militia group. I mean, let's be honest. This is just an extremist terror group, a right-wing extremist terror group. And they call themselves Wolverine Watchmen. Wolverines, obviously, is Michigan the Wolverine state? Is that what, or is it just like their, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the college mascot.
And Wolverines, of course, also, and I wonder, was also the name of the team of the high school of all those kids in that movie Red Dawn that a lot of these guys like too. That was their big sort of, when they would attack the Russians who had invaded the country. But I don't know if that's just a coincidence or what. But they're out there wanting to target law enforcement officers. They made threats of violence intended to start a civil war. They were planning an attack on the state's Capitol building. And these guys have all been involved in this sort of, liberate Michigan movement that Donald Trump was stoking, essentially.
That the DeVos family was funding.
Is that right? Well, good for her. That's great. That'll be an interesting dinner party if they ever sit down. If she ever gets into a room with Donald Trump again, I wouldn't, but she might.
Yeah, this case has Fed informants involved, maybe stoking the case a little bit. But the biggest Fed agent stoking this is Donald Trump, right? Like he's doing this public.
Right. Talk about promoting this thing from happening. These guys were all very heavily involved in social media, trying to organize this stuff. Apparently, the one of the guys, Serta, was the day before his arrest, posted 2 TikTok videos. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion is the means by which the people can and will secure their own oppression. And he's telling people to wake the F up. This is like, and I don't know if, and we try and cover some of this stuff. I mean, generally we do it in the, the so-called fun half of our show, but which sometimes is not always that fun. But this is the stuff that when you talk about those online sort of like quasi-libertarians and libertarians, and this stuff is growing significantly online. And frankly, we know that many of these social media platforms, this is a big moneymaker for them. And they promote this stuff. Now, how we deal with that, I'm not sure exactly what the best way to do it. I think that House Democratic report that came out of the Judiciary Committee that we talked about yesterday is one of the ways to start. You got to start making these platforms smaller, and so they don't have the same power, and you don't have and so that they have the ability to police themselves in many respects. Their business models are all based on algorithms, so they don't have to hire people to actually do their policing, and this is what you get. But there were plans to kidnap Whitmer and to storm the Capitol building. And this is something they only needed 200 men, according to them. And it wasn't like they didn't already have, 15, 20 of these guys already lined up. You're already, 10% of the way. And it's Well, I still remember those images coming out of Michigan when they were complaining about the lockdown. And they're getting right up into those, police officers' faces, and they got long guns and shotguns. And of course, the police officers were very deferential to them because, I don't know, maybe they saw some friends. But all right, that's it for this first hour on this Friday. We will be back Monday, of course, with the first hour of the program. Thanks for joining us. For those of you who are members of the program and watching the extended hour, stick around. Andy Kindler coming up next. In fact, do we have Andy Kindler?
Here he is.
Look at that picture. Is that? I don't think anybody else is frozen.
I'm not frozen. Come on.
I don't see any visual.
Yes, you'll see a visual. Why does everyone think?
Gosh, look at you.
What? But why do people think I can't operate my devices? I can't hear you. Okay, that's a guy who's so stupid. He starts to bang on the camera on his laptop.
What I really one of the few things that I think has been great about this period is all the new comedy, the new comedy that is coming out, like all the, when road comedy became really big, there was a whole genre built around that, right? Like the crowd work and the microphone and this.
Yeah, but now it's going to be their friends, but they're friends, but they're in different departments. And how wacky is that?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Hey, let's, are you using and get people excited? I have the new Zoom 3.0.
How about this? Who here in the audience is not from here tonight?
Hey, how about this one? I'll be here indefinitely, folks. I'll be here indefinitely. Because that's a COVID joke. Oh, your versions are great. Right. How come I look bad? Am I look okay today?
You look really good today.
Oh, please. I've had a lot of work. I've had a lot of work done. Not on my act. Not on my act.
Folks, make sure you tip your delivery people, right?
We're gonna plug my big event tomorrow, right? Plug my big event.
Are we on the brink now? Is this when the Montreal Comedy Festival would have happened? Or
no, it would have happened in the summer. But just like, how the U.S. Open was moved, this is how I implant the idea that's a big event. You know how they moved the U.S. Open?
I did not.
The World's Fair?
No, I
didn't. So they moved it. Usually it would be in the summer, and then they're going to do it in the fall. And this is the first year that I won't be in Montreal. And they told me it's just for this year.
Now, this is the first year, honestly, in like 20 years, right? Or 25 years.
This is the 25th year of me doing the speech.
Oh,
25 years. And I would have been, this time last year, I would have been in Montreal. And now I'm bargaining over my Cameo price. I'm bargaining with people.
Oh, really? Are you going to go on Cameo?
Well, am I going on Cameo? I've been there, my friend. I found out exactly what I'm worth as a celebrity, Sam. People will not pay $45 to be involved with me.
How much you get on that? Now, wait, we should tell people what Cameo is because we've had our fans on this program have gone in and paid and ordered up cameos, I think it is, right? For like all these sort of right wingers to say that Steven Crowder should debate me. And and they don't. So wait, will you explain to people what Cameo is?
Cameo is let's say you want Tony Danza to wish you happy anniversary, Ruth and Zelda. They will make a little video for you. Now, I'm not in Tony Danza's money, but also they'll do.
That's a getting.
Oh, I don't think he's on there. I mean, come on, what are you, nuts? These are for people like me and people who you struggle to remember who their name is. But yeah, and then it could be a pep talk. Hi, Sam. I've heard that you're unhappy, and I'm sorry about Bernie. She's like, I don't really know what it is.
Right.
It's Sam. Sam
said, ad libs.
Yeah, Sam Setter. I'm sorry that your bunny didn't win and stuff like that. But I found out my price, people won't pay $45. You know what they will pay, Sam? 35.
35 bucks.
35 is my worth as a celebrity.
So now, so $35 and you do what? You record a 2-minute thing?
Oh, I wish I could keep it under 2. I go on and on and on. This is like I make a meal out of it, Sam.
Dude, the Cameo people say, Andy, you're giving it away too much for free. Like you just put our, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like
I would say I have not done anything that's clocked in under 3 or 4.
I almost can imagine that you get a Cameo proposal and then they end up calling the company and saying like, Andy won't stop contacting us.
I know well, this is actually true though. My nephew, he contacted me on Cameo. He said, we thought if he paid me $2.99, you can do a direct message, $2.99. He goes,
$99?
No, $2.99 for a direct message. Like
for a DM,
not to Tony Danza.
Wait, but if you like on Twitter or something?
No, it's on the actual Cameo account.
Oh, I see.
So he sends me. He pays $2.99 because he figured that's the only way that he would be able to get in touch with me. My own nephew pays $2.99.
Don't answer the phone when he calls?
No, it's not that. It's just that I've been, I was a hermit before this, and I'm even more hermited.
Well, I mean, like you have a phone.
I know none of my excuses work. Oh, I'm so because of of COVID, I can't see you. Well, why can't you come? I shouldn't call. Probably is what the doctor said. I shouldn't call because that could lead to a whole thing. It could make you feel like you can wear a mask.
So how many of these Cameos are you doing a day? Like, is there a specific day? Like, do you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I got 50 Cameos to do today?
No, Sam. I don't wake up in the morning with 50 Cameos. Now, maybe at $15 I would, right? That would be good.
Right.
Here's my Cameo account. Well, you're not going to be able to see the whole thing. I have done I have made 65 Cameos. I have made $1,900, Sam.
I was just about to pick up my phone and do the math on that.
You know what else? $146 in tips. Thank you.
Wow.
Tips.
That's almost like 80% of the people you've done Cameo for gave you an extra buck.
And that's $1,900. If I could get that.
Now, is everybody doing this out there? Is everybody doing Cameos?
Well, I don't think so because it's a lot of work. Well, not a lot of work, but I feel like I think I make about $7 an hour.
The peak of like people are just stuck at home, and so like they get to do a bunch of this, right?
This is it. They're caught, Sam.
No, I'm not talking about the. Well, look at that. That's a very fancy coffee cup you got there.
This is a cup that's shaped like a Chemex filter. As your listeners and viewers may know, I'm a coffee snob.
No, I don't think anybody knew that.
No, because I don't establish any record of anything. As you may know, it's like William Shatner. He makes me so angry. I'm getting more angry at him because he does a commercial for I don't know if you can you tell I have my CPAP straps? Do you see where the straps went?
Oh no, I didn't know that. So wait a second. You have wait. So
I got a CPAP machine.
So you've got what do you call it? What is that?
Sleep apnea. Yes. And here's my joke. You'll enjoy this, Sam. I ordered a CPAP machine. They sent me a CPAC machine with CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, and I used it for a week. My breathing got progressively racist. My breathing.
Nice.
I'm racist from it.
That's good. Yeah. Is it the only place you can do that joke, or can you do that at other venues?
Oh, my material does not go well in any venue. It took me 3 months to figure out that my career was affected by the quarantine. It seemed to me like the usual gigs were there. 25% we paid for. Wait, how did we get into the sleep apnea 2 seconds ago? Though we were talking.
Well, you were mad at William Shatner, and
yes, because William Shatner he goes, "Hi, I'm William Shatner. You may not know this about me, but I suffer from sleep apnea." Why should we know that about him? Why should anybody know that William Shatner What kind of an egomaniac thinks that people? You may or may not know about this, but I've had nasal blockages since I was on Star Trek many years ago, and I have a bunion.
So wait a second. Did he sell you the CPAC machine or CPAC?
No, but he's on the commercials. It's just like Joe Namath has these commercials.
Who watches commercials anymore? Well, I guess
I'm home, and all I can see. Here's what I want to be able to do. I want to do what Joe Namath is doing. Hi, I'm Andy Kindler. If you are going on to Medicare, you should think about getting some kind of a system that goes along with. That's what Joe Namath sells, and Joe Namath says, "Are you telling me you can't make a phone call to settle your medical affairs?"
I saw Joe Namath give a talk, and it was all about getting sleep.
Well, he was my hero, bro. Him, Muhammad Ali. I had several heroes, but Muhammad Ali, Bob Dylan, and he was a hero. And I didn't know him personally. No, I didn't know him.
No, you didn't know him personally. None of your heroes. You haven't met a chance. I mean, that's the thing, Andy. You are one of my heroes, and I have had the chance to meet you personally.
And you declined.
And I mean, it's where that whole notion of like you shouldn't meet your heroes is where.
That's right. That's why I never was worried about meeting Chris D'Elia. I never worried about meeting him.
I don't know that guy. He's that comedian who was like was
exactly. He seems to be a little too forward with the thing.
Okay, I can't
believe you don't know this, but I can't believe that joke was so. I put that joke. It's in my speech tomorrow, and I weaseled it in with you.
It'll go much better. All right, so let's get back to that.
No, you don't have to get back to that.
No, I do want to get back.
It's about me and you.
This is it's. I would say your career is Wizards of Waverly Place,
right?
And then this.
No, don't forget Raising Dad, where I had that horrible sweater that you. Every time I would come on your show, you would feature me in this horrible.
Did we
sweater?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I bet you still have it. It's hooked up. Give me Brendan. Give me cart 7. Cart 7, please.
Yeah, well, we're not quite that efficient. I gotta say, with all due respect.
You never were. You would be too young to have carts.
No, I know what you're talking about. Carts from the radio. They're like 8 tracks, and you just sort of like they sort of look like 8 tracks. Yeah, no.
You had that at All American Radio, didn't you?
That All American Radio or Air American Radio? I don't know.
I called it All American Radio. You know why? Because there's a company called All American TV. That's why.
All right, well, can we talk about this though?
Hey, I'm sorry, Sam. I've run through my time.
It's the 25th anniversary of the Just Last Festival in Montreal. I've never been. I never went.
Well, because you didn't. You were always above. Look at your hair. Look at my hair. Eat your heart out. Eat your heart out, people who don't have as good a hairline.
So, all right. So the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival not happening, but they're going to do an online thing.
And I've been going there since 1995, and I've been giving a speech there about what's wrong with the comedy business.
And it is, I think could be like the most consistent comedy institution that exists now. Can you come up with anything like that? I guess maybe broadly speaking, the idea of like the Friars roasts, are they still doing those?
No, I don't think they're doing the Friars roast. I don't know if they're, the Comedy Central, they do a good job. They roasted Don Rickles, not Don Rickles. They roasted Donald Trump. They helped him. They helped get his profile up.
Nothing like getting his profile up and making and humanize him in some way. But I mean, put aside Comedy Central's, the Friars used to do a roast, and that was always.
Yes.
But is there anything else that you can think of in comedy that has happened for the past 25 years consistently that people in comedy all know about?
I think that it might be the longest running, insignificant, below the radar. You know what I'm saying? It exists in an area where I don't have to do too much to keep it going. But yeah, I think it is a record, maybe.
I think it's I think the way to look at it is it's highly exclusive.
I'm an elder statesman, is what my manager keeps saying.
Of comedy. But now, all right, so give us a little preview. I mean, you did the Chris D'Elia joke, but
I'll tell you what I'm going to be talking about this year. Sam, and thanks for setting me up so well.
Oh, you're welcome.
Why is there seem to be some tension between us? I don't like this. We're gonna have to go to comedy couples therapy. No, I'm gonna talk about how did it work? How do you think this worked out? That you could take a guy like Joe Rogan, maybe the least funniest stand-up that's ever been on the stage. He would do things like rah, 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 rah. That was one of his bits.
I saw Rogan. He was in Boston at the same time I was. We actually played softball occasionally. I still remember some of his jokes from Stitches in 1992.
And I think you'll agree with me, they were awful.
They were not great.
So in other words, you're Adam Carolla, you had a horrible history of misogynistic comedy, or you're Joe Rogan, you had the lowest common denominator. But don't worry, you could still be a billionaire in another format as a right-wing talk show host, which is Rogan. He's like a right-wing. I don't know really what he does exactly, but Alex. Who did he didn't have Alex? What's his name in his? Yeah, right. So and then Carolla. Now he is able to bring his horrible comedy and his COVID-19 denial. And have a very nice.
Is more of a right wing. I would say that like Rogan is more of like a right wing friendly.
Well, he's also kind of an idiot, because if you say I'm not going to vote for Bernie, but now I'm going to vote for Trump. So there's no excuse for that. So I'm just saying.
I would agree that both of them are not necessarily titans of but I think Rogan. I personally think that I would place. I have more problems with Carolla than I do Rogan. Carolla is out and out like right wing hack in my mind. Rogan, I think, is like there are things that he's just not terribly educated on, I think, and isn't particularly rigorous, and is like a bro in many respects. Carolla is like leans into that idiocy.
But I wonder if Rogan's more dangerous because he has a much huger audience. Let's just take small things. He's encouraging people to butter their coffee. Okay. I'm just saying because I drink coffee and I know about coffee. He's selling
the bulletproof.
These bulletproof. They're up. Hey, you know how you know they're good? They're upgraded beans. Upgrade. Look, I don't want to get sued by the bulletproof people, but all I'm saying is he's created this online thing where people kind of do think he's like Jesus in many ways. Well, not Jesus, but
right. No, it's concerning. It's definitely concerning. And I think it's going to be a little bit diminished now that he's sort of exclusive on Spotify, but maybe not as much.
Oh, I think so. Step aside, Joe Rogan. It's Andy Kindler's time in the spotlight.
Thought spiral. Okay, so we'll be talking about how that evolution, and what else? What else you got? So,
well, I found out. This is very interesting to me. I'm more and more fascinated with fascists in America, because I'm sure you know this, Sam. But there were a lot of Nazis in Los Angeles, and they were doing they were trying to cause trouble here, anti-Semitic stuff here. So they had this big and they had a big meeting at Madison Square Garden and all this kind of stuff. Big meeting. Yeah, right. So here's I'm looking at their material. So when they called Roosevelt Rosenfeld. Right? And they called the New Deal the Jew deal. So what I'm saying is, other than the anti-Semitism and the fascism, it's basically my act.
Right.
How is that different from my act?
Series of puns. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Franklin Delano Rosenbergenthal. If you take the hate out of it, I'm just saying, take the hate out of it.
Take the hate out of it. Same comedy structures.
How about this, Sam? What kind of a business? Show business is a terrible business. I'll tell you why. It took Otto Frank couldn't sell The Diary of Anne Frank. It took him 15, 20 times. They were like, look, does it have to be so depressing at the end? Does she have to get caught? It's kind of, does it have to be about Hitler? Maybe it's about what happens in that. And that's what happened. Otto Frank was told to pick up the energy on his on the greatest diary ever. And so that joke also leads into the fact that I would have been caught in the attic, Sam. You know why? Because I couldn't not make noise. I'd have my electric grinder up there with me.
Of course.
And middle of the night, Schweinhund. What do you hear? What do you hear up there? Schweinhund. Okay.
Who's that guy?
That's a guy like he's Schultz from Hogan's Heroes.
Right. Okay. Now, Andy, let me ask you.
Who's that guy?
Now, Andy, let me ask you this.
Please.
Now, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, because this is a challenge for me as well. I'm similar. It is exactly, you nailed it. But like the state of the industry, like, do you feel like, people ask me now, and I haven't really been in comedy in any meaningful way for 15 years. And people ask me, like, I'm in town, what comedian should I see? And like, I only know like the generation of comedians that were a little older than me and my age. And anybody younger, I mean, I knew a little bit younger, but maybe the one generation, I don't know, maybe generation's too big of a word, following me, but like, I have no idea who's out there now, like what you're going to go see in terms of comedy. Like people ask me and I'm like, honestly, you can't find anybody who doesn't know more. Now, of course, you're still in comedy. And so, but
ostensibly.
Right. Yes. Technically, it's still
technically. I still get my card.
Right. You still get your comedy card, but do you
PCA.
But do you, I mean, are you like, obviously now in COVID, you're not, but I mean, do you feel like you still have a sense of like the younger comedians? Do you see them when you go to, like, I don't know, the comedy shop or whatever it is out there, the Comedy Store? And
well, I do, because, well, first of all, I don't go to there's a special about the Comedy Store now, and and some of it's actually, I don't know if you've seen it, it's on Showtime. It's actually, some of it's really good, but then I don't want to hear Byron Allen tell me about David Letterman. But no, I mean, comedy, I think, if I could be serious for a moment, and many people feel after my act that I have been, I feel that I still am very familiar with comics because I do go out to clubs. My career has not, my career has stayed kind of like this, maybe gone, you know what I'm saying? So I'm still at the not the open mic level, although people might say that. No, but I mean, so I kind of do know. And also I host an alternative show type of thing. So I'm usually, but even it is hard though. It's very, very hard. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot of these, what they call cringe comedians and all that, because I don't want to know who they are.
What does that mean? Cringe comedians? Is that like this sort of like like a shock jock version?
Yeah. It's like somebody there must know who, an example. In the old days, it would have been like Jim Norton and those guys. Right. But now it's like a whole,
the politically incorrect comedians.
Yes. Like the guy who was, I mean, I don't even know anything about the guy's act who went on, was supposed to be cast in Saturday Night Live last year, and then
that like we talked about that with Judy Gold for an extended period of time, and I still don't know. I don't even know enough about that situation to follow it in any way. But I get what you're saying. It's like
I spoke to Judy Gold for a half hour. All I did was find out more about Judy Gold.
Well, I mean, that's why those conversations. I have those conversations. Did you bring her onto your show?
I don't. What's my show? I don't have any guests on my show.
Oh, well, I mean,
thanks for listening to my show. I mean, what do you think of me as
you can't ever bring a guest on?
No, we had one guest on.
Right. Okay.
So far. Yeah. Oh yeah. You got me. You got me.
All right. Well, so let me ask you this. I mean, so What about the whole world of comedy? I'm only asking this because it's the hook of this week is the state of the industry speech that you give. Right. What about the whole facet of comedy that has grown up around like YouTube and stuff like that? Like we didn't, like I mean, if YouTube existed when I first got into comedy, my whole comedy trajectory would have been very different. I mean, I was shooting video
Absolutely.
for cross comedy and editing it between two VHSs, going
Right.
back and forth and just like hitting the pause button at the right point and making short videos there. And then we would play them one night in Catch a Rising Star in Cambridge, Mass. And then that was it. Like,
right.
If you weren't in that audience of 75 people or 40 people or 20 people, you don't get to see the video. That's it. We played it.
Well, I would think it's always going to be, I mean, I do consider myself to be an influencer and somewhat of a disruptor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhat of a disruptor.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I forgot the question now. Oh my God, my OCD is so, it's not bad, but it's not good. But no, I would never, it's always difficult whenever you start. So if you started now, like if you had been when they started, like recently or whatever, when all these videos were being made, if that was when you were happening, when you were coming up, you would have been making all those videos. Right. I probably wouldn't have because I wasn't doing that as much. I can't, when the cell phone rings, I still flinch a little bit. What do they want?
Like who's in my apartment? What's going on?
I don't understand it. Yeah. If they want to call me, why wouldn't they call me on a phone?
What? So, but I mean, I guess my question for you is does that make what you're doing a little bit more challenging too? Like, are you not aware of I mean, I don't feel like anything's happening. The stuff that's happening online is just all sort of like independent, right? We went through that phase of like funny or die. And maybe that was like,
yes. And there's always things like that.
All that stuff, was in the, like I was involved in one of those in like 2000 or 99. And then it came back around, it felt like, in like the aughts. And then that's sort of gone by the wayside because everybody figured out like you can't make money that way unless you're not a company. If you're just like, if you can make it as an individual, sort of like this enterprise.
Right. Well, here's the thing. It's like, I'm going through it. I'm in my 60s. I don't know if you heard about it.
What? No, you're not.
No, I fell off of I fell out of a time machine the wrong way. And I aged all of a sudden. So I see things completely differently now. I actually 4 years of therapy and this quarantine. 4 years of therapy twice a week. I never was in therapy my whole life. I was the oldest Jew to enter therapy.
Wow. Okay.
So I feel differently. I actually feel I feel slightly optimistic about the Nazi this week that he'll be
voted
out. But
about Nazis, that's good.
I don't like them. I don't like them.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about. And by the way, I apologize to Hitler for comparing him to Trump. It wasn't right.
Very sweet of you. Very sweet of you.
So I actually feel like I think like this thing has opened up. I may never leave my house again. I mean, I'm being half funny, but I really have tried to slow down. And I don't know how I'm going to make a living. But it's such a weird thing. I put out an album that I'd sat on for 7 years. I just never put it out. I think I told you that, right? So it was called Hence the Humor, and I put it out. And the thing that was keeping me from putting it out is I wanted a physical copy. But now that's the last thing I wanted is a physical copy of anything. I don't want germs. I don't want to touch my own germs. So the fact that people can hear that now has been I'm just saying it's been a boon for me. I'm sorry how many people have died. I feel bad. Every death is a bad death. It is what it is. It isn't what it isn't. But it's been pretty good in the old cabbage category for me. Pretty good.
Has it? Have you been making money off of COVID?
Did you not see how much I made on Cameo? $1,900. That's what I've made since. Well, how much does that break down?
I got news for you. After this thing, I think you can be pretty assured that you're going to get up to close to 1970. If not,
go to bookcameo.com and call up Andy Kindler. Maybe you have you'd like somebody to talk about your bar mitzvah. Happy bar mitzvah, Schmookie.
That is that reminds me of is like, remember those? I think you did a couple of those. That's what I did in 2000 or 99 was those like little short videos for your phone. Do you remember those?
Yes. No, I don't. I never did those though. What do you mean for your phone?
Maybe I didn't get any that were.
I had signed an ATM deal at one point where my comedy was going to be on every ATM. You could get 12 seconds of it. Yes.
In 99, we had done I think I was out there shooting I thought that we had shot one with you, but maybe not, where I shot like 15, 30-second, like little video greeting cards.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And it was for, I can't remember, it was CGI or something like that. And they had a comedy, because everything was named I for internet, I comedy at the time, right? And and we, it was like we had this like small company that we had put together. Lauren Bouchard was part of it and doing some of the animation. And I just remember thinking like we should get stock because they had named.
Is this the AOL? Was this before AOL? This is after AOL.
No, this is around AOL, CompuServe type of era, and they had named the Patriot Stadium. They had bought the naming rights of the Patriot Stadium with the parent company. I'm like, we should have gotten stock, guys. We're idiots. And then they were basically bankrupt by the time we delivered. So we ended up keeping the cameras. That's where I got all these like mini DV cameras. That was basically what the
wow.
But
yeah, but that's like there's always been like remember when Vine got big? Vine.
Yeah, but that wasn't that long ago. Vine was like what, 5 years ago, 4 years ago?
Right. And my whole thing was 5-second videos. I get 1 second shorter. Never took off.
Never took off. Yeah. 6. Well, Andy, this is exciting. Can people, after you've delivered it, can people access the State of the Union, the State of the Comedy?
Well, they can see it live.
What?
They can see it live. I'm not good at promotion. Anybody in the United States of America or Canada can see this live tomorrow at 6 p.m. I'll be giving this speech live from home where Joe Rogan can't punch me.
And so, I see. And yeah, well, let me, just like, because I just, let me ask you this quickly and then I'll let you go.
Oh boy, because thanks, Sam, because I'm busy over here.
How many times have you run into people that you have slammed during this? And how mad have they gotten at you?
The years that it was scary for me is when I simply pointed out that Anthony of Opie and Anthony was a racist. That's all I said. He is indeed a racist. And so his fans, not the nicest people. That whole Opie and Anthony shows, I don't know if you've ever seen them online when they would have this one where Bill Burr is screaming at them. But no, that was scary. And the year went after Adam Carolla. It's all based on me being afraid of being beaten up. That's what I've learned about my life. And that's why I love the idea of being literally alone doing it in some kind of a bunker.
But I mean, have you ever run into people and they just go like, Andy, I heard what you said on the thing and you're a jerk.
Well, Louis C.K. came the year that I talked about him. And then I was kind of, some of my people who I knew were upset at me this is when he was still the greatest living stand-up in the history of Western civilization. This was before all this stuff happened. And he kind of came and was like menacingly, I felt I was hosting a show in Toronto and he came, but he didn't say anything to me. That was the closest where it was the creepiest. It was so obvious that he was very upset that I talked about him. He was angry about it. And this was before all the shenanigans. This was before
you were critiquing his comedy. You were just mad about his comedy.
I was like, I was the first. This before all the stuff happened. I was the person who said that his fashion sense was American Gervais and things like that, and just would make fun of how much he would brag about everything. Like everybody knows the story of the helicopter on his set. But this is it. This was everyone hated me. They would react much like you're reacting right now. To
am I reacting? No, I'm actually.
No, you're not. I'm just kidding.
How could you? About the helicopter. That was a great story.
Yeah, but no, because Louis had perfected the "I'm not ambitious" lie, because there's nobody more ambitious than him in the history of comedy. Are you on the payroll with him still?
Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry.
We're all on the payroll.
Anyway, I will be in the Blaze. I'll be in the Blaze tonight. I'll be on the Blaze. I'm on the Hot Sauce Show.
Wait, no, he's not going on the Blaze, is he?
I don't even know how I get on the Blaze.
All right. Well, listen, Andy. So if people tune in, where do they tune in? You got.
So this is the thing.
You don't just like turn on the computer and watch it. You got to go somewhere.
Go to ha ha ha. I'm not joking. They named it hahaha.com. That's just for laughs.
How many ha's?
I think it's 3.
So hahaha.com.
Hahaha.com.
Okay.
All lowercase.
And what time tomorrow night?
6 p.m. Eastern time.
That is the time where everybody gathers around their computers to watch comedy.
Absolutely. I'm going counter programming.
Why could they do it at, let's say, 7? 8?
You think it'd be better later? People want to go out.
I don't know. Who's going?
People want to go out to other parts of their house.
Yeah, I understand. All right. Well, and then after that, I assume you go to hahaha.com and you can catch it later as a.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
Well, Andy Kindler, you are a legend. You are an institution.
Am I being retired?
And it is really comedy's loss that you are.
I will be missed.
That you will be missed, believe me. And I really appreciate your coming. You're coming on the show on this occasion. And
goodbye, show business. I bet I hardly knew ye.
It's true.
I love you, Sam.
You too, Andy. Thank you so much. Andy Kindler, ladies and gentlemen. Ha, ha, ha. And of course, check out Thought Spiral. You can go now. Yeah, check out Thought Spiral, his podcast that he does. All right, we're going to take a break and head into the fun half. My understanding is that Donald Trump has been on the Rush Limbaugh show now for over 90 minutes. And they're blowing through breaks, and I think it's a little bit crazy. I mean, this is payback, right, for the medal. But before we go, don't forget Hunt a Killer. It's a murder mystery subscription box where you sift through piles of documents, evidence, and audio recordings. They send you little thumb drives. And more, eliminating suspects and identifying murder weapons until you crack the case and catch the killer. Hunt a Killer has over 2,000 5-star reviews. It's no wonder why people love them so much. Go to huntakiller.com/majority. Use the promo code majority at checkout for 20% off your first box. Check it out, folks. All right, and just a reminder, it's your support that makes this show possible. We're going to head into the fun half. You can become a member of this program by going to jointhemajorityreport.com. Also, don't forget AM Quickie. 6-7 minutes every morning. We're getting it out the door so early. Like sometimes, I'm like it's already on my phone, and even before Saul wakes me up, we're getting it out so quick these days. Check it out, amquickie.com, or find it. Search for it on Stitcher, on iTunes, on Pod Pockets, or Out Pockets, or Out Pod, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. You can check it out. You can also find it on. You can find it on our app. Go to majorityapp.com. Don't forget justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or chocolate. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. Matt, what's happening on TMBS?
TMBS this weekend for patrons. Alicia Brooks is talking to the author of the argument, and I don't have it right in front of me, but that socialism leads to better sex life. So look forward to that on patreon.com/TMBS. And I will be hitting the skies or doing some kind of gaming at twitch.tv/literary hangover.
Wow, we could have a debate between Alicia and Jamie, because I thought it was communists, Jamie.
Oh, I think it's the same argument.
Oh, okay. And Jamie will tell us.
Wait, what? I just came on in time to hear the C word.
Well, Alicia Brooks on TMBS this weekend is interviewing somebody who wrote an argument that socialists have better sex. And I said, I thought you said it was the communists that do.
I mean, yeah, there's a fine line between communism and socialism. Marx often used them interchangeably. I'll allow it.
Yeah, I think the argument is, do communists have better sex though? So yeah, well, anyway, that's on Sunday.
Is it Kristen Gotzi? She wrote a book about this.
I believe it is, but I don't have it right in front of me.
Nice. Well, I will definitely tune into that.
Jamie, what's happening on the Antifada?
Well, this week on the Antifada, we have a 2-part episode on Star Trek Deep Space Nine that we did with our friends at Swampside Chats as part of their Swamp Trek series. This episode was written in the 90s. A few characters go back in time to a very crazy time in human history, a time much like the time we're living in now. Homeless people are being rounded up into camps. There are riots against neoliberalism. They're trying not to contaminate the timeline so that the revolution still happens and leads us to the wonderful world of space communism that Star Trek is very much known for. Check that out. Patreon.com/theantifada. Also, next week, Sean and I will be recording a fresh new episode. We're going to talk a little bit about the news because there's a lot of news. We're also going to do a little primer on left communism, which is, extremely topical right now. JK, it's evergreen. But if you have any questions about left communism or critiques, because a lot of people get very angry when they hear the word left communism, send them all to us. It's all good stuff.
All right, folks. 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
In for it.
All right, folks. 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
Are you ready?
Who sent us this?
Alpha males are back, boys back, and the alpha males are back.
Just as delicious as you can imagine.
The alpha males are back, boys back, and the alpha males are back.
Just wanna degrade the white man.
Alpha males are back.
I take all of it in my throat.
Alpha males are back.
Almost has what?
The alpha males are back.
You are a madman.
And the alpha males are back.
I am a total cunt.
Can we bring back DJ Dannerky's song, please?
Yeah, or a couple of them. Just put them in rotation.
DJ Dannerky.
Well, the problem with those is they're like 45 seconds long, so I don't know if they're enough of a break.
That's fucking nonsense.
Hey, folks, reminder.
I do not have Parkinson's.
And the alpha males are
psych. Fuck 'em.
Almost has what? Almost says what?
Hell of a lot of bank. 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 Hell of a lot of bank.
All lives matter. Have you tried doing an impression on a college campus?
I think that there's no reason why reasonable people across the divide can't all agree with this. Psych.
And the alpha males are back. And the Africans are black African. And the alpha males are back. And the Africans are black.
See Donald Trump out there, doesn't a little part of you think that America deserves to be taken over by jihadists? Keep it at 100. Can't knock the hustle. Come on, fuck 'em. Fuck things I do for the bigger game plan. By the way, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me, Jew boy.
I have a thought experiment for you.
And the alpha males are back. Africans are black. Alpha males are back. Africans are black.
Come on. Come on. Someone needs to pay the price for blasphemy around here.
I am a total
Pussy.
Wow, a lot of stuff going on right now, folks. Board of Elections in Ohio's largest county determines nearly 50,000 received inaccurate ballots for the general election. We're still 3 weeks out, so they might be able to fix that. We have, like I say, Trump has been on Rush Limbaugh's show for over an hour and a half, maybe, and they've blown.
How is he still breathing?
Well, I would imagine that part of his cure or therapy, as he would say, is some type of either oral or injected, steroids, and it probably comes in waves. Maybe, you go out there and you hit it right after you get you're right on that wave. Maybe it comes at 12 noon, and that's the way they do it. But
he's so high all the time on TV right now. I love it.
This is interesting. Trump was on the Limbaugh show, and he said, "I would like to see a bigger stimulus package, frankly, than either the Democrats or the Republicans are offering." And he said he's going the exact opposite now, reversing himself on what he said in recent days on virus relief and spending. So, I mean, the point being that it would be the most rational thing for him to do to say, like, you guys want to give everybody $600? I want to give everybody $900 extra on the unemployment. You want to give every family $1,200? I want to give everybody $1,500. And you want to do it this one time? I want to do it 5 times. I mean, but I really do think that that Mitch McConnell rolled him. I was talking about this with Digby. I really do think he got rolled. And it's going to be interesting to see if they come up with a deal between Pelosi and Mnuchin, which is basically Pelosi in the White House. Now, Mnuchin may be also freelancing a little bit, or he has a different agenda maybe than Mitch McConnell. It's going to be interesting to see what else is what comes out of that. That's going to be, I think, fascinating. Let's get to some of the. I mean, I imagine by now everybody has seen Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer address, the whole issue of the FBI arresting these right wingers in Michigan who were looking, I guess, to plot against, to kidnap her or to take over the Michigan Capitol, or and she basically went in on Trump and complained that, he said stuff like liberate Michigan. That is sort of what these people were trying to do. And it turns out that's not a very healthy thing. They must have got the word over at Fox and Friends that what has to happen here is that she has to look super ungrateful for the fact that the FBI busted this ring of people. Here is Brian Kilmeade, who, now did Kilmeade say this morning, or was this yesterday? This had to have been this morning, right? So why don't we start with Hannity last night, because that's where Kilmeade gets his talking points.
Disavowing David Duke, and yet they continue to spread that falsehood. Your reaction, because they don't seem to get called out by the media on the fact that what they are saying is false.
And I condemn the people on the left, like Antifa, that are burning down your cities all summer long, okay? And without any control whatsoever. They're all Biden people, meaning not Biden. Biden's not smart enough to know what the hell it even is, but they're of that philosophy. And I condemn them very strongly, very, very strongly. It's not just the right. It's the right, it's the left. But the left has been the problem for a long time. Antifa is a big, big problem. And, I see Whitmer today. She's complaining, but it was our Justice Department that arrested the people that she was complaining about. It was my Justice Department that arrested them. But instead, she goes and does her little political act, and she keeps her state closed, although we just won the big case, as you know, to open up Michigan, because what she's doing is a horrible thing to the people. The churches are closed. The schools are closed. And the whole state is closed, and people are being hurt very badly by it in the form of drinking and suicides and depression. It's a very sad thing. But no, Joe Biden wants to raise taxes, and very sad.
So there it is. President Trump has given the marching orders for Fox, like she's got to show more appreciation. My Justice Department actually arrested these people. So, she's out there saying that I stoked the fire, but I also put out the fire.
Wait, isn't the FBI supposed to be like the deep state that's constantly plotting against Trump?
It depends on which day it is. Maybe that's it. They went rogue and stopped those people. That could have been an anti-QAnon operation. Well, Brian Kilmeade got the message. President was on with Hannity last night saying that Whitmer is not grateful to the president and to the DOJ. So what are you going to do about it, Brian Kilmeade?
Yesterday, this stunning news that there was a plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer and this diabolical group who was out to do some horrific things. We know how bad that is. We know that they were watched, or the Justice Department found them, arrested them, and they were stopped in their tracks. Governor Whitmer, not grateful, but focused on the president. Listen.
The President of the United States stood before the American people and refused to condemn white supremacists and hate groups. Hate groups heard the President's words not as a rebuke, but as a rallying cry, as a call to action.
First off, interesting way to say thanks. Number two is, I thought about you, Steve Scalise. When the Bernie Sanders supporter tried to kill you and almost was successful, I never heard you say Bernie Sanders is to blame. There was a plot unwound by the president's Justice Department, and she blames President Trump.
Yeah, this is just...
I don't need to hear from Steve Scalise, who himself pitched himself as David Duke without the baggage when he was running for election back in the day. Will you pull up the tweet where Bernie Sanders tweeted out, everybody should, Steve Scalise is the bane of everyone's existence. We'd be better off without him, or liberate Steve Scalise's seat.
Left-wing terror. Stand back and stand by.
You pull up that tweet. I mean, I appreciate that Kilmeade is conceding that these people are Trump supporters in some fashion or another, at least maybe not necessarily electorally speaking. But the point is not that they are supporters or not supporters of Donald Trump. The point is that the president of the United States is encouraging people to liberate Michigan. What does that mean? Liberate from whom?
By voting.
Right. I think it was probably he's encouraging this stuff when they're showing up with guns in the State House. And so instead of saying, hey, don't show up with guns in the State House, this is not the way we do it in this country. We have a democracy. He's tweeting out stuff like liberate Michigan, which is basically a rallying cry for these people. And so that's what it is. It's not that they are supporters of his or not. I don't know that we know that they're supporters of his. It's that he's been encouraging this type of behavior. He's been edifying the notion that Michigan needs to be liberated. I mean, I know Kilmeade knows that. I know I'm howling at the moon, but
if I were her, I'd be joining Antifa right now, because these people cannot be defeated at the ballot box.
How do you know she's not?
It's a good point. If I do know, I'm not saying shit.
Do we have clips of Donald Trump on Rush Limbaugh? This is where they all go when they're sad. They need to run to Limbaugh.
Do you want him live, or do you want
is he still on live? Let's tune in on this. I want to hear.
They're on a commercial break now.
They actually did go to a break. Okay. Let's do read some IMs. Let's see. Does Jamie believe in the labor theory of value? She should not, because Marx himself proved that it was wrong, as Steve Keen shows.
What are you talking about? Yes, I believe in the labor theory of value. No, I'm not going to explain it at 2 p.m. on the Majority Report. You're going to have to listen to the Antifada.
Based on their edit, Ban Dongino. I think we've had Steve Keen on the show years ago, I think. Based on their edit the Trump Regeneron sales pitch, it looks like the Lincoln Project tried to clone Vic Berger in a vat like usual. Who's the target for that? Indeed. Sam, I'm a super lefty like you all. I have a question. Why do you use the word conservative to describe the Republican Party? Conservatives are a breed of center-right traditionalists who don't exist anymore. To describe the norm-shredding, Constitution-vile fascist Republicans as conservative is to feed into their propaganda that they are anything close to what should be considered mainstream politics in the world. Please stop using Republican language. They are radical right-wingers. I mean, I think there's a point there.
I don't think you exclusively use the term conservative either. I think you mix it up.
I do mix it up because on one hand, I don't want that term to be rehabilitated. Like, I went through this. I mean, back in like 2005, you had Andrew Sullivan going around saying like, these people are not conservatives. Conservative is blankety blank, blank, blank. And you know what? I'm sorry. It's not. This is what conservatism is, and it's like the conservatism you're talking about is really, and I was saying this 15 years ago, is like Latin. That doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it exists, but it's in very narrow things. And so I say conservative because rather than, I don't think that word should be left as something that is pristine, because they can just put I want that word to be associated with what the Republicans are, so that they cannot, put a neo on it or a paleo or whatever it is that they want to put on it and rehabilitate that word. That word, when people hear the word conservative in terms of politics, they should cringe in the same way that you would like if you hear, fingernails on a chalkboard.
Word. I would only add that I think that IMer is being a little kind to conservatism as a tradition because it's always been pretty terrible. Going back to Edmund Burke, it's a long, terrible tradition that we need to defeat.
Hey, Majority Report crew says Superman would be socialist. I would really appreciate a shout out for my new channel my friend started. It can be found by searching Mama D TV Sunday Bake. Okay. Oh, you could have just given us the name of it. Attorney Andrew, one thing that was not talked about regarding the VP debate is how even in the middle of a world-altering pandemic and depression, Democrats still feel the need to pander. Oh, shoot. That's the problem with this thing is it moves. That's the problem with this IM thing, Kyle, is that it moves when people add on to it. One thing that was not talked about regarding the debate was how even in the middle of a mind-altering pandemic, Dems still feel the need to pander about moderation, considering, I can't read this, considering, people stop IMing for a minute so I can read this. Considering that every Democratic president has governed to the right of how they campaigned, even in the general, what should we actually expect from Biden? I think we should expect the worst from Biden. I mean, he pandered to the middle in the primary too.
Yeah, they made a good point on Bad Faith podcast, the new podcast that Virgil and Bree do. Like, we are in the middle of a really historic uprising against the police. The fact that did not move Biden's politics at all during a campaign when he can say whatever he wants to doesn't bode well for the future.
Yeah, I mean, this was the problem with the whole theory that, Donald Trump was going to get us a more leftist candidate than not. And I mean, it was possible, right? I mean, Sanders had a very good chance, but the fact of the matter is that people flee to safety, and that perception was that it was the safest choice. I mean, it was predictable. It was.
Yeah.
And so I think, the bottom line is that people are going to have to push locally and regionally, and then also federally. I think there are some things that we're going to get. I mean, that's one of the things, like, why I really, really think it's crucial that the Amy Coney Barrett nomination gets pushed into the lame duck, because I think the last thing that Joe Biden wants to do is expand the Supreme Court. I don't think he wants to do that at all, even if they can't get anything passed on their agenda.
Yeah, he doesn't really care about getting stuff done.
Well, I don't know about that or not, but even if they don't get anything passed on their agenda, they're I don't see them in their minds assaulting the grand tradition or institution. And because, look, they're institutionalists. Joe Biden, the institutions have done very well by Joe Biden, or very well for Joe Biden. And however, the pressure really mounts if they do this in the lame duck after Joe Biden is, presumably, in this scenario, president-elect, and the Senate maybe went to the Democrats. If they were to do it there, it would almost make it impossible for Biden and Coons and all these people to sit idly by while this happens. And so it's easier for them to punt, I think, and say, well, we don't need to do this with the Supreme Court. If it happens before the election.
Yeah, we also have to remember that it's going to take so long to get the results of the election that the lame duck could be very short, assuming that Biden wins.
That's true too. But anything that makes the Republicans' actions more extreme to the part of the public and the press that it makes them look more extreme, the better.
Yeah,
because they are. And it's just, some of these places are just so determined to sort of like just pretend everything is okay. Let's see. It's still going on with Trump. I don't even care that much. I guess I'll have to listen to it. All right. Let's listen to. This is Tim Pool. Oh yeah, this is pretty funny. So Tim Pool is one of the most naked grifters on YouTube. And I think that's true. I think, like, it's so nakedly the case. And I know, Tim, if you're listening, you probably aren't. But I know that the reason why you do what you do is because you don't have to do that much work to make the enormous amount of cash that you're making in your house out there in the burbs. And I know that you've told people that. So that's why I say it. But here is Tim Pool. Which one should we take first? Which way? We should take the complaints, right? Is that it?
Yeah, start with 8, I would say.
Okay.
Love a good complaint.
Yeah, here's Tim Pool complaining that he's misunderstood by leftists.
Likely, let's talk about Civil War for a minute. The darkest or the grossest topic.
This is like the only thing that leftists have at any capacity to actually criticize me. Is that out of 5,832 videos? Now it's more than that because that number was from like last week. I have maybe 25 videos about Civil War. And they're like, aha, we got him. He's talking about the Atlantic article they wrote about Civil War coming. It's like, yes.
Now, what is it? Brendan, what's his point there? What is his point?
I guess it's that he only covers a coming Civil War because it's been talked about by other people in the news, and he's just, talking about what others are talking about.
Yeah, he's upset. He tweeted out that, Spike Lee's talking about Civil War and, these guys are bumbling idiots is sort of the point he's trying to make.
About these guys in Michigan.
Yeah, and that Spike Lee was being a bit, was hyperventilating a bit, being a bit hysterical when he's talking about like Donald Trump stealing the election, for instance. Right.
So show some of his tweets. I mean, look, either the guy is consistent on something or he isn't. He's just chasing clicks and dollars constantly. Such a grifter.
Not tweets, but YouTube videos, all from different time periods.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Screen grab of YouTube videos. 2 weeks ago, Professor warns Civil War may be next step of civil unrest. Pastor warns Democrats will be hunted. Tim Pool on America's coming second Civil War. Are you ready for the second Civil War? Tim discusses prediction for Civil War and escalating racial tensions. The second Civil War is coming into focus. This is Reza Islan. I mean, I don't know. How do you criticize people for talking about Civil War when you have been talking about the second Civil War over and over again?
Yeah, I want to challenge his numbers because the whoever's behind Tim Pool clips, I think, has maybe better numbers. It says in reality he has discussed it in almost 200 of his most recent 800 videos. So I think Tim has the resources to challenge that number if he wants to, and he should, because I buy Tim Pool clips.
The point is really has nothing to do with Civil War, not Civil War. Tim Pool is a grifter. He's a grifter.
Man, makes me think I should get into the YouTube game. Or maybe not, if this is what makes you successful.
Look at the numbers he's doing on these videos.
Here, I got
300
from a year ago, Brendan. I got one from Joe Rogan's show.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the first page of those clips that I'm showing. I'm still scrolling.
Listen to how he frames his own work here at the start of this.
People might say I'm a little alarmist when I mention a potential civil war. But let me clarify. I'm not saying, because I've brought this up before, I'm not saying it's going to be 1800s, two big battlefields. But at the same time, what people don't seem to realize when it comes to history is that when you read about World War II, we've condensed all the highlights into a very short paragraph or a series of paragraphs. And you don't realize the war was several years. There were periods where nothing happened, right? I was in Egypt during...
Anyway, that's,
Yep.
This is one of his beats. The other thing, though, I think we should play a little bit more of this clip, actually, in the full context, because he goes on to basically say Whitmer had it coming. So let me just, I got the clip here. Let's play a little bit more of this. Because I think it's...
What show is that?
This is Tim Cast IRL, his show with, there's a Cassandra Fairbanks and some guy named Ian who's actually trying to make some points, which I'm surprised by, and the comment section hates him. I'll show some selects from that later. But
is that out of 5,832 videos? Now it's more than that because that number was from last week. I have maybe 25 videos about Civil War, and they're like, "Aha, we got him! He's talking about the Atlantic article they wrote about Civil War coming." It's yes. There are a couple of videos where I directly, ask the question, like when the AG in Oregon sued the federal government because the federal government was trying to enforce the law. It's when you have the states challenging the federal government's right to enforce its own laws.
I guess he's talking about the AG of Oregon.
Or that's kind of weird and scary. And that's the way I describe it is
through
really escalating to full-on hot conflict between factions, or Joe Biden and Trump are boxing each other on the White House lawn to become president or something. Then they'll claim that these things were part of what started the Civil War or was the Civil War. But now you have Spike Lee straight up said it. He was being interviewed by some magazine or whatever, and they asked him what's going on, and he made some comment about being Nostradamus or something, and he said Civil War is coming, y'all better prepare because this MFer is not leaving the White House, something like that. And so yeah, just more talk from Spike Lee, and then you add this to this story we have about these guys in Michigan, and I'm just kind of oh, I'm not surprised.
Is this the first of many attempts on
politicians?
Yeah.
Dude, you violate the Constitution brazenly while laughing at people when you do it. Don't be surprised when this kind of thing happens. Now, I'm grateful to the FBI that they got stopped.
Do you remember what happened with her?
Wait, what did Whitmer do that violated the Constitution, and when she was laughing in people's faces about it.
As far as I can tell, like some emergency orders that you wanted to do about coronavirus. This is the thing Trump, I think, was tweeting about the Liberate Michigan.
Tim Pool was so enraged about the complete lack of democracy that took place in Flint that led to the neuro poisoning of literally multiple generations of children. I remember when he was outraged by that. Oh, wait, no, not Tim Pool. Sorry, I'm thinking about somebody else.
This goes on. I think it's pretty despicable, actually.
There was an anti-lockdown protest, and the next day she came out and she was like, well, now basically I'm going to create an even harsher lockdown out of spite. Remember?
I remember that.
I was like, whoa, this
Dude,
woman's
this
going
lady,
to get...
she's evil.
Yeah.
Like legit evil. So I say she's evil in the truest sense of the word, right? When a bunch of people in Michigan were freaking out because her emergency powers are too extreme, they started signing petitions saying we want like a referendum on taking her power away. And she said, do not let them take my power from me. And then when the Supreme Court of Michigan ruled you can't do this, she said, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Talk about evil.
Completely mad with power.
Here's
She's
the problem.
off of it.
Why isn't the federal government removing her? That's what they're supposed to do, right? Like, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
You're wrong.
But if you have like a governor and their legislation says you can't do this and she laughs and does it anyway, shouldn't the feds then intervene and be like, this woman must be removed? Because she's not letting anyone do anything. And I'll tell you what else. What are the cops doing? Now, the AG has said she will no longer enforce any of Gretchen Whitmer's, edict. So she's essentially just sitting in a room crying and screaming, demanding a lockdown that no one's going to enforce. So she lost.
Right.
But shouldn't she just immediately, like, don't we have some kind of thing where it's like, if you're ordered not to do something, you do it anyway, like, we get rid of you? Like, you're no longer the governor or, like, in charge?
Recall.
Yeah, but that's like, that requires an actual vote. She's not letting people leave their houses.
Wow.
I'm exaggerating a bit.
Yeah, kidnapping is basically a recall without the red tape.
Exactly.
That's his response to, and by the way, there's some indication that one of the guys shared a Tim Pool clip about Steven Crowder. I mean, I'm not sure about that, but it looked, there's indication of that. So I would think I'd be a little bit more contrite and I guess moderate in certain statements I make about Whitmer in this time. But, Tim's got money.
He's got some cash to make, man.
Like, what is she supposed to be getting out of these shutdown orders? Does he think she's just like getting off on it?
Drunk with power. She's so excited for people not to get coronavirus that it's driving her crazy, man.
Well, in Tim Pool's defense, we have video of a local Western Michigan sheriff who shared the stage with two of these guys that were arrested, talking about how, they were just charged with kidnapping her. And it doesn't mean it's exactly illegal.
What? Do we have that footage? Let's hear it.
Are frequently seen at local demonstrations, including at this rally in protest of Governor Whitmer's stay-at-home order held last May in Grand Rapids. You can see William Null on stage alongside Barry County Sheriff Dar Leaf, a guest speaker at the event. We spoke with Sheriff Leaf Thursday night.
Well, I haven't read everything up on it. I've got other duties to do. It wasn't our investigation. So I was shocked. I did not see this coming with those guys, but still, we can't convict them in the news media here. They do have a right to a fair trial.
Leaf says he doesn't know of Null's alleged involvement in the plot and doesn't have any regrets about sharing a stage with him.
Do you have any regrets from being on stage, sharing a stage with a guy who's now being charged in a plot to kidnap the governor?
Well, it's just a charge, and they say a plot to kidnap. And you got to remember that, are they trying to kidnap? Because a lot of people are angry with the governor, and they want her arrested. So are they trying to arrest, or was it a kidnap attempt? Because you can still, in Michigan, if it's a felony, you can make a felony arrest. And I think it's MCL 764.4 or something like that, 0.5, somewhere around there. And it doesn't say if you're an elected office that you're exempt from that arrest. So I have to look at it from that angle, and I'm hoping that's more what it is. In fact, these guys are innocent until proven guilty, so I'm not even sure if they had any part in it.
I mean, he's right. They're innocent until proven guilty. He's promoting the felony arrest of the governor by, I guess, civilians. I wonder if that's the way that he operates around his own town. But remember, it's the sheriffs who you got to watch out for, right? I mean, they're the ones. Do you remember there was like the sovereign citizens up in Maine were going in and meeting with the Governor Lepage and telling him that, like, you know, you can have you can basically assassinate like the state legislators because they're treasonous towards you, and the real seat of power is with the counties where the sheriff is. I mean, this all sounds comedic, but the lawyers for the governor had to sit him down and tell him, like, those people, you can't meet with them anymore because they don't know what they're talking about.
I would love to have all the NSA's spying powers and see what kind of texts that sheriff's been receiving and sending over the past like day or so.
Yeah, that would be interesting to find out. Let's move on, shall we? Folks, you know, one of the things that has not gotten enough attention in this election is that Donald Trump is not only an ubermensch who can bust through COVID with his own sort of just will, he's also saved Christianity. He never gets enough credit for that. How do I know, though, that it's the case? Because his son said so.
Done, you know, for natural gas in this country. He's protected the Second Amendment. He's literally saved Christianity. I mean, there's a full-out war on faith in this country by the other side. I mean, the Democratic Party, the far left, has become the party of the quote-unquote atheist. I mean, they want to attack Christianity. They want to close churches. They want to, you know, they're totally fine keeping liquor stores open, but they want to close churches all over the country. I mean, look what he's done in the Middle East. Peace in the Middle East. He's, you know, look what he's done with prescription drug prices, like, you know, insulin going.
Wow. Eric Trump turns out to be the dumber of the two Trumps.
It's a constant battle.
It really is.
I think maybe Eric's trying to sort of like slide in there while the getting's still good. See if he can get in, jump ahead in the will. Donald Trump has not saved Christianity. I should also say that Christianity not threatened in the least bit in this country. It's like the war on Christmas stuff. And this is in North Dakota. That's what's also sort of amazing. Can you imagine, like, you're Donald Trump's son and they deploy you to North Dakota?
Harsh realm.
I mean, if Trump is in trouble in North Dakota, I mean,
that's what I was going to say.
Serious.
Like, I did an ill-fated movie and had a character back when I was in my comedy days, Joe Lieberman's son, who they basically tried to, keep off the campaign trail. I think if they're sending Eric to North Dakota 3 weeks out from the election, they're sending a message. They're like, dude, you might as well be campaigning. You might as well just go to, like, I don't know, go to Europe and campaign.
That's Siberia.
Hey, it did a world of good for Teddy Roosevelt. Maybe you'll make a man out of you.
I mean, wow. Where do you guys want me? What about North Dakota? I don't think you could do any damage there.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I think you're the place that we expect to win by 75 percentage points. My God.
Oh, you almost feel a little bit bad for him, but still, though.
Also, North Dakota, like, spiking with coronavirus now. So great to have a member of the Trump administration there.
Right? the bikers rally.
Yeah, Sturgis in South Dakota. Yep. And they've been spiking about 3 weeks after that since.
More like North Dakota.
Meanwhile, let's dip in on the ongoing Dave Rubin saga, where he is running desperately. I'm starting to think that he's afraid he's going to get canceled by the Blaze. Remember, this guy was just last week was out there saying that the secularists. Now here's the thing. Glenn Beck is extremely religious, and he has some very weird religious ideas. He has sort of a guru. I used to have a guy who was on the inside there. He's no longer there, but I'm convinced Dave is worried that his job there is on rocky ground, because I suspect, this is all speculation on my part, and I welcome Dave to come on this program or to have me on his and explain to me how I'm wrong. I will be the first to platform that. So Dave, if you're listening, but I suspect what's going on with Dave Rubin is his show was not doing well on Blaze. And to the point where he had to come out and say that secularism has completely destroyed our values in this country. And he listed off all the sort of the degrading of our values. And somehow he didn't list off the biggest degradation of our values as articulated by the right and conservatives in this country, which is, of course, the onslaught and the attacking of the institution of marriage as being about a man and a woman. It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. But Dave Rubin sort of glossed over that and didn't apparently think that was relevant. And of course, I can't blame him because you want to maintain your marriage if you're married. Here is Dave Rubin.
Does he?
Or the alternate theory that I think Jamie expressed was that this is his way. This is his exit strategy out of the marriage.
Mm-hmm. He's just too much of a coward to say so.
But here is the next step that he's got to take, and that is to be a little bit misogynist and a little bit racist, but also to claim this is not about misogyny or racism.
Man, I do not like her. I do not like her. And let me be very clear.
Pause it for 1 second.
Let me be very clear.
He's talking about Kamala Harris, who he really doesn't like. Now, I wonder how many times he knocked her when she was senator of his state, back when he was still trying to pretend like he wasn't just a, typical right winger. But go ahead.
Man, I do not like her. I do not like her. And let me be very clear. Let me be very clear for the Twitter trolls and the loser YouTubers who clip everything I say and remove words and then try to make things out to be not what they are. It has nothing to do with her being a woman. It has nothing to do with her being black. There's also this question. A lot of people are saying she's not even black because I guess her father is Indian and her mother is Jamaican. And a lot of Jamaicans don't consider themselves black per se. They just consider themselves Jamaican. Okay, I'm not even going to get into the minutia of that.
I'm not even going to
nothing
even
to do with the complexion of her skin,
she's not even
or
black
her boobs, or anything else. She's just deeply unlikable. She comes off as extremely entitled. Try to imagine a man behaving that way. How would you feel about it? Pretty much the same way, and that's the point. So look, if we're choosing winners and losers here.
Pause it 1 second. First off, Dave looks really sleepy in this, doesn't he? Is it me?
Yeah, he seems like super zanned out.
What's going on with I mean, listen, I come in here, I'm exhausted, but he looks like, I don't know. I'm a little concerned.
Well, look, he was so not mad at the stuff that people were saying about him that he didn't take a bunch of Xanax.
Can we just say, just an easy point, that when Jamaicans come to America, that, like, for instance, the police department would treat them like they're black and not like, oh, there's a Jamaican there, and treat them differently.
You don't think they'd hear a Jamaican accent and be like, oh, excuse me.
Race is a political construct that people don't get to choose for themselves. That's kind of how it works.
It's fun. I was just looking at a study today. I think it came out in May. I'm trying to think of where this is. Oh, here it is. Actually, yeah, May 5th, 2020, Stanford News. Black drivers get pulled over by police less at night when their race is obscured by the veil of darkness. This is a Stanford study that came out. This is after analyzing 95 million traffic stops filed by officers with 21 state patrol agencies and 35 municipal police forces from 2011 to 2018. Researchers concluded that police stops and search decisions suffer from persistent racial bias. Oh, we don't need to pull over that guy. I can tell he's Jamaican. That's not happening.
Yeah, did they do the study with the ones that had a Jamaican flag on their bumper sticker? Because I think that might.
But I love how he's like, when people are going to pull this, the YouTube haters. I mean, come on. He's got to be talking about us. I hope so. YouTube haters are going to pull this. And I just want to say,
hi, Dave.
Not because she's black. Although, let me dig into the same racist trope that they use with Obama. And maybe you have a problem with her because she's a person of color. How about that? Is that better? All right, but let's hear his explanation. She's so entitled. She's like, what's that word I'm looking for? She's like got this like thing where she thinks she deserves to be able to speak when the white. She's like, so what's the word I'm looking for? Entitled. She's like she feels like she's up above people. What is the word I'm looking for? Go ahead.
As I said with the regular debate, the presidential debate, winners and losers, it's like, okay, it's whatever that middle group is, that undecided group of people. And did you move anyone anyway? Well, the VP debates, I don't think there's any numbers on this really. I'd love to see some stats on this. In the history of presidential elections, has the VP choice ever made a real movement one way or another? And I don't know that there's any evidence of that. Whoa, lost my cap on my pen there.
How much research has Dave done on that question? Like, I'd like to see a bibliography.
Right. Well, I mean, the fact is that the research, particularly in recent elections, shows that there's not a lot, but it's also very hard to sort of like pull this, to disaggregate this stuff. There are narratives that get created, so it's very difficult. But bottom line is, I don't know that debate moved anything either, although it was like the second most watched vice presidential debate or something like that. But I don't know that it changed any decisions, in which case then mission accomplished, because they're in the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this whole clip is him just trying to brand himself as like kind of a right-wing edgelord like Milo or whoever. But like, look, there's a way to be an edgy, gay, misogynist bro or whatever. He cannot pull it off. He sounds like a serial killer with mommy issues.
I think in this, I feel like he was under the weather in this video. I think like when you go, oh God, I dropped my pen. I just feel like he was under the weather. It's okay. Look, I went on, I covered the debate, and, you know, I don't think I actually had a half bottle of tequila, but I feel like I could have. So I'm okay with that, but it is interesting. And somebody out there can find the tweet that I did about Dave when I said at one point, I'm quite convinced of it. Maybe I was talking about his change on abortion, but this was like 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe I said 6 months from now. There was definitely something where it was quite clear where Dave was going with his career. I mean, it's quite predictable. All you need to do is follow the smell of money and know that he's going to be there.
Well, I guess this just shows the great lengths that some people will go to avoid getting a real job, and, you know, kind of fuels our argument for why we need to get rid of capitalism.
There you go.
I agree. Work is bad. Dave Rubin is right about that.
I am definitely down with no work. I'm looking right now at my sign from my Situationist movie that work is the blackmail of survival. There you go.
It really is, though.
Yeah. All right. I'll read some IMs here. And then, this was funny. Since we were talking about the debate, have we confirmed that this is real?
Yes, it was reported by media after it happened.
All right. Fair enough. So, I don't know if this is going to hurt her in her election, but it definitely makes her look incompetent, right? And it also makes it look like, you know, Kelly Loeffler was the one who they were pitching because she's like not a knee-jerk right winger. She's a little bit more thoughtful. She's no Doug Collins. She's not just like this lapdog who's going to, you know, just immediately rubber stamp anything that Donald Trump and Mike Pence have to offer. Here is the tweet that she had after the debate. And sadly for her, she didn't really even spend any time thinking about it before she's going to tweet. Here it is. Senator Kelly Loeffler, just now. It is, the tweet reads, Generic tweet for after the debate, : couldn't be prouder to have Mike Pence as America's Vice President. Mike Pence, thank you for standing for freedom. You're supposed to take out the generic tweet for after the debate, Senator.
Yeah, happens to the best of us.
That's the type of thing, like, you get sloppy with stuff like that, you're going to get busted for stuff like insider trading or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Jabba the Cat. Republican leaders join others outside the state capitol in Michigan in an anti-governor demonstration, all in the wake of the arrest of the Michigan militia terrorists. Just craven. Plainclothes goth. Jamie, what is your professional opinion on Enya?
I don't personally enjoy her music that much, but I do think she's cool because she lives alone in a castle with a bunch of cats. Hashtag
I have an opinion. She's prime mom cleaning the house music in my experience.
Well, I was going to say, like, she's still doing music. Like,
oh yeah,
she was big when I was your guys' age, so that would make sense. That she's
like the most successful Irish musician of all time, or something crazy like that.
No way, but
she
I feel like that's got to be Van
there.
Morrison,
right?
I don't know. I'm gonna look that up.
Oh, Teacher Lauren. Hey, Sam, when you opened the show today, you referred to the Plan B abortion bill. Plan B is emergency contraception, not an abortion. Yes, I'm sorry about that. That is a good point. I did misspeak.
Enya is Ireland's best-selling solo artist and second best-selling artist behind U2. Damn. The more you know.
Wow.
Killing it.
Rube Davin, what are the chances that Trump announces Mike Pence will stand in for him to debate Biden virtually? Nil. Worcester sauce. David Pakman's cameo is $159, and there's a lot of reviews that says he barely clocks 30 seconds.
Oh my God.
100.
That's expensive.
Oh my God.
David Pakman's cameos. Oh, wow. Remember when you interviewed Tim during Occupy? I do. In fact, I also remember that the guy he was working with basically split off from him. I can't remember who the guy was, but basically said, like, was letting the world know there was a problem with him.
Wait, what's his deal? Did he used to be a leftist and now he's a Republican or something?
He was a citizen journalist during Occupy.
Yes. And he was going around with another guy, and I don't remember the guy's name, and he was good. The guy was good. The guy actually had some ideology, and he was the guy in front of the camera, and Tim was the guy doing the shooting work. And then at one point they had some type of falling out. And I think this guy realized that Tim was just like, was doing a little role play.
I'm so annoyed that I know who this guy is now. Thanks.
Sorry. A Square. Sam was hoping for Digby. McConnell is surely working off and very aware of the law diminishing returns relative to Mad King Covida. And only one thing matters now, getting the handmaiden seat in SCOTUS. Thank you for all. Jamie, Matt, Binder, Brendan, and Kyle for navigating the madness and keeping the show and apps going. Oh, so that should be Jamie, Matt, Binder. So old Matt and new Matt. I hope we also help to keep you sane. You do. Thank you. Random Rush says Nomi Key. Snack the Courts. That DJ Danarchy track makes me dance at work. Super Casa. Trey from Maryland. Open the phone line, Sammy. Sorry, we don't have time today. Winnipeg Craig. Sam, it's nice to see you acknowledge Canada's comedic institution, the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. But like the saying goes, if you can't handle me at my BC and Saskatchewan election, you don't deserve me at my Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. When Dave Rubin said Jamaicans didn't think of themselves as black, was he trying to say they weren't African-American? I felt like you got that mixed up.
There's the whole, like, I feel like they've gotten more tripped up by the whole American descendants of slaves than the left did, to be honest. And I think that wasn't, the hope of some people anyway.
Spensky, cops didn't stop dudes from storming Michigan Capitol for the same reason they didn't stop NFAC from marching around. They recognized raw power and calculated they would not fare well in a firefight. Police attack on their own terms.
Also, they're on their side.
If they don't like the odds, they just chill. Country Mouse. I feel like I remember Scalise blaming Bernie for the gunman in that instance, even though Bernie went straight to the floor in the Senate and condemned the action and the person. HC, phone calls today? No, sorry. Bear at home 2. What is left communist? Is that like Brexit? Brendan?
It is not. You're going to have to listen to next week's Antifada, and then you'll know all about it.
Brendan's disembodied voice. Beat it up, Sammy. Catch a charge. Cocaine Mitch. Dave Rubin can't even get the nationalities of the women he's insulting correct. Beta. Marx didn't, simple socialist, didn't disprove the labor theory of value. He innovated on the version that Adam Smith used in The Wealth of Nations.
Yeah, of course.
Angela. Here our left wing is labor and our right wing is liberal. Oh, and let the Australian jump in. I don't get that. Pinky Fly, Joe Reagan is a paleo conservative. James in Jersey City, I call them conservatarian because they're conservatives that served him, libertarian when that does. Gons. Come on, Sammy. I'm not sure I know what that is from. Rowan. Sam, could you recommend a book on antitrust? Oh, gosh, we've had a lot. I mean, you could read Dane's Monopolized. You could read Goliath by Stoller. But what is Democracy Against... Oh, shoot. The was it Ganesh Sitara? I can't remember.
Ganesh Sitaraman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what is his book? It's something versus democracy.
The Great Democracy: How to Fix Our Politics.
No, it's not him. It's the
middle class. Oh yeah.
It is. He's a law professor at Brooklyn Law School. Shoot. But I think if you look antitrust or monopoly and search that in at majority.fm, you'll find some more. But those are two ones. And Zephyr Teachout's book is also good. I would also we have a couple more too. But I would start there. And Brandeis obviously wrote the sort of one of the best ones on antitrust. Congressional baseball fan. Perhaps the single greatest thing Trump has ever said while talking about Steve Scalise is his wife cried her eyes out when I met her at the hospital that fateful day. I mean, not many wives would react that way to tragedy. I know mine wouldn't. Anyway, play ball. All right, and we'll do 3 more of these and get out of here. Jet Junkie. Feeling the crunch now, recently out of a job after a failed stand at my last employer. Thank you for keeping me motivated all year long. Sorry I can't afford a subscription currently, but be back real soon. Well, listen, you can convert to a complimentary one if you are dealing with financial crisis. So don't hesitate to do that. Tin Pot 2. You know, you showered Trump in well wishes, but I wonder if Don asked Rush how he's doing. After all, either one of them could die any day. And the final that's not going to work because that's a link. Shoot. It's not coming up. Wait a second. After 2 hours on the phone, Limbaugh says he knows Trump has a jam-packed schedule. Unbelievable. Well, you know, from a campaigning standpoint, you couldn't do better if you're Trump than be on Rush for 2 hours. All right, the final I am of the week. Can we please have any future clips of Alex Jones done in Jamie's Alex Jones impression? She brilliantly got off yesterday. Or can we have a day where she just talks in her Alex Jones voice for fun? Maybe a book on tape. It would give me an excuse to use my cassette player. Okay, folks. Matt, Brendan, Jamie, good week this week. We will see you on Monday.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got
is such a weird PSA.
For the rope that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive between the 101 and the 5. Do you know how far the detour takes